We will certainly do everything in our capacity.
Well, this most certainly was unfortunate and heartbreaking, but with that, it's time for us to quickly wrap up News Pulse this evening, handing it over to Editor-in-Chief Rahul Shivshankar joining us on India Upfront.
Thanks indeed, Christine. Yes, that story really has shaken up the nation, viewers, and huge debate raging across the length and breadth of it on how to tackle this stray dog menace. Some people are saying that large-scale culling needs to take place. Thank you, Christine. We move on, viewers, to another big story. Viewers, let me give you a perspective. History teaches us never to underestimate the power of the foreign hand. Iran is a basket case today because in 1953 a democratically elected government there, led by Mossadegh, was overthrown by a CIA-orchestrated political coup, installing instead a puppet regime led by Shah Reza Pahlavi. Popular-elected president of Chile, Salvador Allende, was overthrown in a military coup orchestrated by the CIA. Putin's Russia had a hand in the reinforcement of an unpopular, though elected president, Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine. When massive protests broke out in Ukraine's capital Kiev under the name of the Maidan Revolution or the Revolution of Dignity, the president felt emboldened enough to order a bloody crackdown on his own people because he enjoyed Russian support. He was propped by Moscow. In 2016, viewers, and these are some of those pictures. I'm sorry we brought them out a little late, but you can see that's what happened in 1953. That's the Iran Mossadegh being displaced in Iran. In 1973, as I said, Salvador Allende was forcibly kicked out of power. 2014 Ukraine, those pictures, anyone cares to see them on the net will be horrified at the intensity, the severity of the crackdown. In 2016, the election that brought Trump to power was widely doubted by his critics as having been influenced by Russian online propagandists. But closer to home, the role of Cambridge Analytica and other influencers has been widely talked about in the larger effort by the opposition to unseat Prime Minister Modi. Democracies, viewers, can be disrupted. Their future can be irreversibly altered. There are several other examples. Regime change is not unusual. If anything, it's a tool to wage war by political means. India has not been immune to it. You'll remember the Mitrokin archives, viewers, that appeared on the scene in this country in 2006-07. And at that time, various allegations were made. Those archives showed how the KGB had infiltrated political parties, ministries, government at the highest level, viewers, to influence policy making. So today, when for the first time the government has talked about such an attempt being made here in some detail to put in context the BBC documentary, the comments, let's say, of George Soros, or then the Congress attacks on the government for not standing up to China, we should not be dismissive. Listen carefully to Minister of External Affairs, the erudite Dr. S. Jaishankar, who elaborates on how democracy here is being undermined. And it has, viewers, it has the support of agencies within our country. And I'm not talking about agencies as in intelligence agencies, but political parties as well as political leaders. This is Dr. S. Jaishankar.
There is a phrase, war by other means. There is also, think of it, this is politics by another means. Why suddenly, there's a surge of reports and, attention and views? I mean, were some of these things not happening earlier? You had to make a documentary. Many things happened in Delhi in 1984. Why didn't we see a documentary on that? You think the timing is accidental? I mean, let me tell you one thing. I don't know if election season has started in India and Delhi or not, but for sure it has started in London and New York. Look, this is a globalized world. People take that politics abroad. Politics of India doesn't stop at its borders. Sometimes politics of India doesn't even originate in its borders. It comes from outside. You know, ideas come from outside, agendas come from outside. Otherwise, please tell me why suddenly, there's a surge of reports and, attention and views. I mean, were some of these things not happening earlier? I mean, I gave you the example of Assam.
Yeah.
I mean, people speak about, okay, you had to make a documentary. Many things happened in Delhi in 1984. Why didn't we see a documentary on that? Look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, okay? What I'm explaining to you is actually politics at work. Why is it difficult to understand that there are ideologies and political forces outside India very similar to those in India, and the two are working hand in glove. Part of the problem is when political forces in India are not doing so well electorally, they tend to kind of summon up this support system, if you would, or the echo chamber, or call it what you would. I think they are deliberately misrepresenting the situation. I give you two very specific examples of that. You remember that whole halla which happened on a bridge? They were building a bridge in Pangong Tso.
Yeah.
When did that area actually come under Chinese control? The Chinese first came there in 1958 and Chinese captured it in October 1962. Now you're going to blame Modi government in 2023 for constructing a bridge with the Chinese capture in 1962? I just look at the budget of the border infrastructure. During the Modi period, the budget has gone up 5 times. If you look at the roads which are built, you look at the bridges that are built, they have doubled or tripled.
Okay.
But I mean, if he has superior knowledge, wisdom, I'm always, as I said, for me, life is a learning process.
Superior knowledge, wisdom on China.
If he has, I'm always willing to listen.
Well, Dr. Jaishankar said that the external lobby is playing politics by other means, and it is getting a helping hand by political parties here in India, in the opposition, he says, that are not finding electoral traction and therefore are hoping that these alliances could unseat the current government. So is the strike on Soros borne out by facts? Is Jaishankar's, one doesn't want to call it a conspiracy theory, viewers, as he himself says, but his apprehensions, are they borne out by facts? Let's remind you what an independent report says about the billionaire and his hidden agenda when it comes to India. Now, this is all OSINT, viewers. It's open source intelligence. Soros claimed that Adani issue will weaken Modi's stranglehold. Now, if you really look at the facts, in January 20, and you can just Google this, he pledged $1 billion, this is Soros, to bring India's authoritarian regime down. Not one time, Dr. Jaishankar recently, just a few days back, said that Soros is not just some old man, but he's also dangerous because he has money. Runs destabilizing economy operation through open society foundations. It's all out there. Soros is a funder of ecosystem like Namati, RSF, IPI, IFCN, etc. And these individuals promote a large number of outlets, media outlets, or those that think of themselves as media outlets here in our country. Dr. Jaishankar has also called out the propaganda of BBC docuseries India, the Modi Question, saying that this is politics by another means. Here's why it has been widely discredited. Now, viewers, it claims that the SIT probe into the Godhra carnage was superficial, for instance. But the SIT was appointed at the behest of the Supreme Court on 26 March The Supreme Court of this country expressed appreciation at the indefatigable effort done by the SIT in getting to the bottom of the Gujarat riot conspiracy cases. The Nanavati Commission said that the train coach was burnt by throwing petrol. Viewers, all of this has been put out by the BBC, selectively cherry-picking facts. But the BBC won't tell you what the Spectator, a conservative newspaper in England, tells you. It says that the BBC is taking Huawei money to fund overseas journalism, content made by BBC's sponsored content team Storyworks. BBC.com adverts say it's paid and presented by Huawei. Now, a simple question to the BBC, for instance, would be, did any one of these groups fund the making of this particular documentary? They should just come out and put out in the public domain who funded this documentary. It'd be as simple as that, viewers. They can address this issue. Today you have a situation where the Kashmir Files, viewers, that has won a Dada Saheb Phalke Award, is being criticized. It's being called a kalank, quote unquote, kalank on the art of filmmaking in India. The same ecosystem that is saying this is lapping up what the BBC is saying about the Gujarat riots, for instance, viewers. So you can see how one set of rioting, one set of bigotry is more acceptable than the story of another. What explains that, viewers? This irrationality must have some sort of rational explanation. Otherwise, it makes no sense. I want to open this up tonight, and I want to ask some basic questions. And I want to begin first with Smita Prakash, editor of the ANI. Smita Prakash, you are a discerning journalist who has interviewed a large number of people in the past. And you can easily tell from the responses of interviewees when they are trying to sort of finagle out of a tough question. And you sort of, with a huge amount of skepticism, asked your questions of Dr. Jaishankar. Did you at any point feel, and I'm only asking you this because you interviewed Dr. Jaishankar, did you at any point feel that he was being dilatory in his responses?
Yes, thank you, Rahul. No, he was not diffident. He measures his words very carefully. He did that even when he was in the Foreign Service. There isn't a loose statement at all in that 2-hour-long interview. When he wanted to be political, he was political. When he wanted to take on the Congress party, he did. But when he was speaking clearly about the points that you raised, I think it is something that comes from a deep knowledge about international relations that he has. He's been a practitioner of international relations. He's been a student of political science. And I think even you and I have covered diplomacy, and we ourselves know that there are things that there are lessons to be learned from the Cold War. As you mentioned, that regime change by overt and covert means is something that the US did, the Soviet Union did during the Cold War, and there are strategies and there are methods in place to do that. Now, maybe those countries don't do it so openly and they don't do it at such a large scale, and they would rethink on doing it to a country like India today, right? But there are other forces which would not want India to be the strong voice that it is, that the high priest at international forums that India aspires to be, a meek and submissive India, an India which is confused politically and doesn't have a path charted out in international relations, is something that would suit many people. So I think what he was trying to say is that what you're seeing today, which he said that like war by other means, it's politics by other means. And he said that there is a great game in place without mentioning the term great game. He said there is a game in place, and the BJP, it seems, is ready for that.
Okay. politics by other means, not quite war by other means, but politics by other means. Lokesh Jindal, let me come out to you. You're a Congress spokesperson, and let me jog you through some of the iterations of your own leaders back in time. So on the 14th of August 1975, 41 Congress MPs signed a statement accusing the BBC of broadcasting notoriously anti-India stories and demanded a ban on the BBC, saying, and I quote, "BBC never misses an opportunity to malign India," unquote. In 2012, Dr. Singh, Manmohan Singh, the then Prime Minister, accused the foreign hand, as he called it, quote unquote, of fanning the Kundankulam protests. He said that American NGOs were involved in all of this. The Mitrokin archives talked about the KGB's alleged funding of certain communists and non-communist politicians in India. It's all on record. You can just go and look at those Mitrokin archives. In the 70s, this happened to influence state of affairs here. If evidence exists of this in documentary form, then why doubt the role of foreign hand today? Cambridge Analytica, that played a role in our politics. The Trump 2016 election was interdicted, they say. So why should anyone completely dismiss what Dr. Jaishankar is saying, Lokesh Jindal? Your own party has tom-tommed the foreign hand many times.
Yes, good evening, Rahul. Rahul, the examples that you gave since 1960s and up till the time period of Manmohan Singh ji, all these were within the context of First Cold War. We all know that in 1966, when Indira Gandhi ji visited US, and subsequently we saw a tilt towards USSR, and then there was a reaction, especially from the Western superpowers against India. They were always critical. But things changed after 1990s, and with respect to Kudankulam nuclear power project, because it was in partnership with USSR, there was a subsequent criticism from the Western powers. Now, when I'm talking about this present government, Prime Minister Modi was always criticized by the Western media. It's just not now recently. He was denied a visa. In 2015, New York Times published an article slamming Narendra Modi's policies. Even Japan Nikkei Review, it criticized Narendra Modi politics. In fact, let me tell you, the world leaders also never approved of Narendra Modi government's policies. They worked with Narendra Modi government because they had their vested interests. They wanted a greater access to bigger markets. But you cannot say that anywhere Narendra Modi was able to come out with a visionary policy so as to emerge as some form of a leader, providing a leadership to at the global level like Jawaharlal Nehru did. And now when you're talking about BBC's documentary emerging, even now, the reason why UK and other nations are not coming out openly criticizing India's move is because of their vested economic interests. India's press freedom index rank has dwindled down to 150. With respect to freedom of speech and expression, we are not performing well. And any form of criticism against the Narendra Modi government is portrayed as criticism of India.
Okay.
I mean, it is surprising that...
So are you, Lokesh Jindal, you are sitting on Times now, that your political party says is part of some Godi ecosystem. This is how ridiculous your party is. You are sitting here and you're criticizing Modi. What case has been registered against you? No, hang on. 1 second. I'm not finished, please. I'm only pointing out to you the contradictions in what you're saying. Now, the JDS spokesperson will also heap a few abuses on Modi. May not be abusive. He'll be critical, severely critical. I'll tell you this. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary busts a vein every time he sits on Times now to abuse Modi. Your chief spokesperson yesterday, Mr. Forget his name, I don't want to, yes? No, not Vivek Bansal. My director is telling me Vivek Bansal. No, it is Pawan Khera. I'm sorry I did a Damodar Das on him, but Pawan Khera. Now this Pawan Khera sat on Times now a few weeks ago and he abused left, right and center everybody. From Modi to Shah to everybody. He's still thriving, sir. So ये क्या crackdown है, press freedom क्या है, sir? मुझे समझ नहीं आता, मुझे समझाइए. Why are you sitting on this channel if I'm under pressure from the government to block anti-Modi propaganda? Tell me, are you a secret agent planted by the BJP?
If you look at the coverage which the press used to do when there was the UPA government in power, and the press coverage that the press does right now, when the present government is not performing its duties, when the Adani scam was
hang on. Morbi bridge collapse. Morbi bridge collapse before an election. Did you see Times Now's coverage? Did you see Janta Mange Jawab campaign on the O2 shortage that took place, sir, during the height of the second wave of COVID? Do you know what Dr. Ranganathan was saying on this channel at that time?
Not all.
Listen to me. Now, hang on one second. Mr. Jindal, answer my question. I'm only asking you a simple question. If Miss Gandhi, if Dr. Manmohan Singh could lock up people for sedition because, and not one, not two, not three, not even four, 12,000 people in one day. Viewers, 12,000 people on one day for sedition because they had the temerity to protest the building of a nuclear reactor. And that was because of foreign hand. If Modi's minister says it, he's a pathological liar. Now, you make up your mind, viewers. Who is the liar here? Who is distorting reality? Let the BJP come in. Sanju Verma, why don't you quickly take on the Congress spokesperson here? And I also want to ask you a small question before you do so, because Sanju Verma, they'll say that I'm Godi media. So let me ask you a question that Godi media should ask you. While the country must be vigilant against so-called foreign hand, should that be a basis for a ban on a documentary? My first Godi question to you. One second. My second Godi question. Let me tell you, the BBC made a documentary in 1984, a Sikh story. It came out in 2010. So was that a conspiracy against the UPA? Two Godi questions, Sanju Verma, for you to now nurse. Please respond.
Rahul, let me be very honest. I think on some of the most critical debates of the current Modi dispensation, all through the peak of COVID second wave and thereafter, if there is one channel where I was there 24/7 on zillions of debates with you, including some of the panelists here were there, and you were unsparing in your criticism. I don't think, it is worth somebody's while to call you Godi media. And look at the irony. We don't get any special treatment from Rahul Jaishankar, lest he be called Godi media, and because, he's not prone to not asking the right questions. And on the other hand, when I go to channels which are pity media, they keep heckling me. And, they act like the Ramu Kakas of the Gandhi-Nehru dynasty. So BJP ko to na idhar se fayda hai, na udhar se. Anyway, coming to the more important part of your, questions, I just have this to say. I've said this in the past also, that it is entirely, and I say this without any ifs or buts whatsoever, even Article 19, for that matter, even the First Amendment in the US, which is supposedly the Mecca of capitalism and the Mecca of free speech, even in the US, forget in India where freedom of speech is guaranteed under Article 19, the same Article 19 also says that free speech is not absolute. It cannot function in isolation, in a vacuum, and is subject to reasonable restrictions of public order, morality and health. So it is entirely the Modi government's prerogative if it has decided that the BBC so-called trashy piece which goes under the garb of being a sane documentary has to be banned, so be it. Point number one. Point number two, you brought up the question of the 1984 Sikh riots and the documentary which was then published years later in 2010. Let me also tell you something more, Rahul, which your audience needs to know, and I've said this on umpteen debates on your show. Forget about that obnoxious statement, jab ek bada ped girta hai to dharti hilti hai, by Rajiv Gandhi, which was like, rubbing salt on the wounds of Sikhs who were burnt alive with tires around their necks. I have this to ask. Why was it that a SIT to probe into the 1984 genocide. I will not call it a riot, I will call it a genocide. Why was it done only by the Modi government in October 2014, post which the key perpetrator of that genocide, Sajjan Kumar, was put behind bars? Yadi Congress is so pro-minorities, why was Congress so reluctant to take a decision to put Sajjan Kumar behind bars? And forget about Kamal Nath not being indicted by any court of law. The Nanavati Commission has not painted Kamal Nath in a flattering light. And Kamal Nath, as we all know, before he was ousted, was the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. And he rubbed shoulders with the Congress High Command on any given occasion. And let me tell you something more about free speech. These people who claim to be the beacons of free speech, Siddharth Shankar Ray was the Congress Chief Minister of West Bengal in 1975, and he used to physically threaten that people who write anti-Congress pieces, they will be physically liquidated, their offices will be set on fire. We all know about 1982, under Jagannath Mishra, who was the Congress Chief Minister, Bihar passed the Free Press Bill. And what was it? It was basically nothing more than a sham to actually curb free speech. Who passed the, 42nd Amendment to curtain the right of judicial review of the courts and to curb free speech? It was none other than Indira Gandhi. Why was B.G. Varghese, the editor-in-chief of Hindustan Times, sacked? Only because he wrote an anti-Sanjay Gandhi piece. And all these people who said Nehru ji mahan hai, अरे आपके नेहरू जी के चलते for writing a small anti-Nehru poem, Majroo Sultanpuri was sent to prison for 1 whole year.
Sure. Two wrongs.
On free speech.
Okay, two wrongs don't make a right. That's my response. But I'm glad, Sanju Verma, that you've taken a forthright position. You've said that, look, we are exercising the powers that rest with us under Article 19. You're not being hypocritical. You're not weaseling out of that. That's your justification. The people will judge you on that. The courts will judge you now, of course. That's your take. So, Mr. Jindal, I just want to once again ask you, what was good for the goose? Will it be good for the gander? It's a very simple, straightforward question. You invoke the foreign hand relentlessly.
Look, right now,
don't be dilatory. Just answer. I am being hypocritical. Maybe I'll answer for you. Should I answer? We won't waste time.
No. I
really want to get on to Dr. Ranganathan.
I'll answer myself.
Yeah.
I'll answer myself.
Yeah.
See, first and foremost, the domestic policies of Narendra Modi had led to hardening of stand by the Chinese in Tawang as well as the Ladakh region.
The
government failed to come up with an adequate response.
No, this is a good thing.
If all the government is,
that means he must have shown Lal Aankh.
No. If the Chinese are bound to
so you're not answering my question. Viewers, it was a straightforward question I asked. If the Mitrokin papers tell us, if the Congress MPs themselves wrote letters against foreign media, etc., it's not just the BBC, viewers. A large number of foreign media was kicked out of this country. They wrote all sorts of rot. Yeah, all fine. I'm just saying. The foreign hand destabilized India back then. It cannot destabilize India now. It says a lot about Mr. Modi's diplomacy, obviously. But hang on. Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, Godi media aside, soft questions aside, Dr. Jaishankar today has very reasonably, and he said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but let's not gloss over the fact that you can have interdiction of democracy, politics, etc. in countries which are open. What's wrong with that?
Good evening, Rahul. No, absolutely. And let me be straight. Spine always grows in the back that is against the wall. Finally, Rahul, we are seeing the face of New India. And the face is of Dr. Jaishankar. Unapologetic, straight talk. I hope it lasts. We saw it when he outed the hypocrisy of the West on Russia, oil and gas. And we see it now with his honest and frank comments on the Nazi collaborator George Soros. They are outraged that he called Soros old, rich and dangerous. So what do they expect? That he should paraphrase Nina Simone and croon young, gifted and Jew? Besides, I have earlier totally exposed the illogical arguments of Soros pertaining to Modi being anti-Muslim and India not really a democracy. Rahul, it has taken 8 years for the Modi dispensation to stand up to American bullying and to expose their hypocrisy. Remember when President Obama came visiting in 2015 and told us off snootily inside our own parliament about human rights? And President to Prime Minister down, we remained silent. This, when during the Obama years there were 2.7 lakh violent hate crimes in 2012 alone. But we remained silent as he waxed eloquent about violence and human rights and Christians under attack, even though that whole narrative of churches under attack turned out to be totally fake. Rahul, very briefly, 2 issues here and they're both philosophical, so please give me a minute. Number one, I personally don't believe in all this diplomatic bunkum that we shouldn't talk about the internal matter of another country. Any world leader should be able to talk on any matter pertaining to another country freely. Don't we want leaders of other countries to expose China and its concentration camps that have interned 1 million Uyghur Muslims and are feeding them pork and mass sterilizing them? Even though, surprise, surprise, some of our own people like the communists are silent on this internal matter of China, to be sure. Whether they are our own people is debatable too. But the fact is, in this regard, what Dr. Jaishankar is doing, rebutting America and Europe and China, is praiseworthy. In today's fragmented world, he has to be realistic, not idealistic. He has to think of India's interests first and foremost. He has to indulge in real politics. He has to be Patel, not Gandhi. India has forever had a shambolic foreign policy because of which we have always been made to sit on a rickety stool adjacent to the big table. We must now drag a chair, Rahul, and sit alongside the powers there are. Number two, no one has violated, continues to violate human, civil, national, continental rights more than the Americans. They continue to pamper Pakistan, fund their military, despite knowing it is a terror state. And they are preaching to us a democracy with a vibrant opposition and functional judiciary. Finally, just 20 seconds, Rahul, talking of democracy. You talked about under UPA, 8,000 people were charged with sedition on a single day. I want you to remind others of that day. This is the Home Minister of that day saying that those people he charged under sedition, those activists, are anti-national. Do you remember this phrase cropping up everywhere? Blaming India is no longer a democracy because everyone is being blamed as anti-national. Well, Chidambaram blamed 8,000 activists as anti-national.
Well, the UP also filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court coming up with the term urban Naxals, viewers. They were anti-nationals for them, urban Naxals. Of course, Kamruzaman Chaudhary will forget that time. He'll forget it because it doesn't suit his narrative. That was a narrative, I don't know, where were you being preached that narrative, sir? At the table that you were signing a document with the Chinese leadership, the Communist Party led by, at that time, Xi Jinping.
Yeah, Rahul, first and foremost, today I was listening to Smitaji's podcast with our External Affairs Minister. One way we think that we are a mother of democracy, and suddenly our External Affairs Minister says that any criticism of Narendra Modi or any criticism of his policies is an attack on India with a view on 2024 elections. How convenient it is for him. He talks about a lot of things about Nehru-Gandhi family. I simply feel that falling back on Nehru-Gandhi some 50 years ago, whatever happened in India, is like falling back on as a last refuge. So basically, when you talk about the BBC documentary, I don't see any difference that we don't know what is shown in the BBC documentary. We all knew all along what was there in the BBC documentary and what happened in the genocide of Gujarat 2002. We all know. Now the hypocrisy of the External Affairs Minister, let me just give me 1 minute out here.
One second, let him finish.
Dhruva Jaishankar, you can counter, I am not a fringe spokesperson out here, let me finish. Dhruva Jaishankar, son of our External Affairs Minister, from 2009, he is employed with German Marshall Fund, which has been linked to the Open Society Foundation of George Soros. The hypocrisy number one. Hypocrisy number two, his own father, the late K. Subramaniam, after the Gujarat genocide, he said Dharma was killed in Gujarat.
So you see the hypocrisy that he is talking about. All along he was employed with the UPA government. He talked about his father being removed as a secretary. So it happens everywhere. You have removed CBI directors at night 12 o'clock also. So it happens with the during dispensation, whom they want to employ, at what post, it hardly matters. Then you see the most important thing, Rahul, is when we call you people, I am not particularly you. When I speak of a section of the media, Godi media, why do we say this? Have you any of your last 5-6 days held a debate?
I'll tell you why you say it, sir. Because from 1940, no, hang on. I'll tell you why you say it. On the double murder because, sir, no, one second. Because, sir, I'll tell you why you say it. And it goes back to the debate that happened in an unelected constituent assembly when Nehru stood up and said, I don't like criticism, it comes in the way of work. My nation building. You are anti-democratic. For you, you want lapdog media. You want editors who can show up at your residences, and I'm talking now facts, viewers, at 10:30 at night, where you set up a darbar. And I know Smita Prakash will know who I'm talking about. The person is not with us, so I don't want to name that person. He would serve you kebabs in his lovely Lutyens bungalow at 10:30 at night and give you a royal ticking off. Any editor would know which Congress politician this was. Any journalist will know, and he would say, if you don't do my bidding, I will call your Malik. And I will teach your Malik a little bit about the truth.
No.
So Kamru, no, hang on. So Kamru Zaman Chaudhary,
Rahul,
you want me to take the name?
Honestly,
and I will not even, no, hang on. Do you want me to take the name?
No.
You will go and hide your
you take one name, I'll take 10 names.
under a carpet. So don't let me open my mouth. Don't let me open my mouth. I will tell you about a leader who used to call journalists and dictate what they should write live on the channel. And he was a top Congress leader. Should I start naming names?
Times have changed.
Times have changed. Now what happens?
Rahul,
you know, listen to me. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary.
Times have changed.
Kamru Zaman Chaudhary. I like the way you say. That falling back on Nehru is the last refuge. Okay, 1 second. Of the desperate.
Better fall in line.
1 second. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary, listen. You guys who basically destroyed democracy, don't preach tonight. Don't preach tonight.
He's made some factual errors which I need to correct.
Okay, I'll let you correct those factual errors, but I want to also bring in Mr. Mitra, and I just want to make one small point, viewers. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary says, and I quote him, falling back on Nehru is the last refuge of the desperate. But viewers, what he won't tell you is that falling for Soros's propaganda, for them, is a sign of standing up for the truth. Viewers, now you tell me.
30 seconds on
now
this.
You tell me.
Rahul,
the constitution of this country,
Can I come in, please?
the constitution of this country, or the weazened, almost consumptive Soros.
I need to make a
Who would you choose? Who would you choose, viewers? Yes, quickly, madam, make a quick intervention, and then I want to bring in Abhijit Iyer Mitra. He's been very patiently waiting. Yes.
Rahul, you know, another example that you are not part of Godi media. I know you don't allow me even an ounce. You don't indulge me, and you're quick to fact check the BJP. But today, Kamru Zaman, you said, you know, you don't believe in fringe spokespersons. Well, before you take a jibe at me, you are the fringe. You do not even know the difference between ORF and OSF. George Soros founded Open Society Foundation in 1984. Jaishankar's son Dhruva Jaishankar was with Brookings Institution and now an executive director with ORF, not OSF. चौथी फेल की तरह बात करना बंद करिए. Please learn the difference between ORF and OSF and stop peddling gibberish on national television.
Well, yesterday the Congress.
Madarsa bread.
Okay, yesterday the Congress dragged in the Prime Minister's
Madam,
father. Today they've dragged in the external affairs. No, hang on. Yesterday you dragged in. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary, please. Yesterday you dragged in Mr. Modi's father. Today, to score a point, hit below the belt, you've dragged in Dr. Jaishankar's son. I don't need to say much more. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, you're a senior fellow with the IPCS. What do you make of this? And I then also want to bring in Tanveer Ahmed. Yes.
So thanks, Rahul. See, I'm very glad that he's addressing all of it. My big question with this government in general has been, where's the action? Where's the action? You know, speech is not action. And unfortunately, you know, when Trump was in India in 2020 and the riots started, let's call it what it was, the anti-Hindu pogroms, the Delhi anti-Hindu pogroms, where was the firefighting and the foreign ministry putting out India's point of view? They were quieter than Manmohan Singh was during his 10 years. When Soros came out with this rhetoric, what is his department doing? Where is the government's action against Soros's investments in India? Soros actually plans his investments with the Omidyar network. Are you planning on seizing his investments in India? I don't know. If you know, if the foreign ministry of the country is convinced that the BBC documentary and George Soros are part of a conspiracy against India, where is the action? I'm getting a lot of words. See, I don't go by words. Words basically hide intent. Words hide thoughts. I am not seeing action to back up his words. Even the basics. Have you summoned the UK ambassador to demand an end of funding to the BBC? No. The action against the BBC was taken based on past, there were several notices sent long before the documentary, and this is a follow-up for the documentary. Have you kicked the BBC out? Are you weaker than Indira Gandhi? I mean, you have a full majority in Parliament, so what prevents you from taking action? So, you know, all these speeches are fine. You know, they provide these fantastic video clips to go viral on Twitter. They're fantastic to, you know, say, oh, we did this, we did that. Unfortunately, the action is lacking.
Okay.
I disagree.
Okay, you disagree.
Rahul?
Ms. Verma, yes.
May I please come in quickly?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. You know, Abhijit Iyer Mitra made some pertinent points, and you know, as an Indian citizen, he has the right to be demanding of the government in terms of action. Now, let me tell you some very basic points. First and foremost, Open Society Foundation, the key organization of George Soros, founded in 1984, is under watch for FCRA violations. Point number one. Point number two, you know, I think the biggest action that we have taken is against Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, because I remember people saying when Modi got a second term, let's see what this government does. Out of the 96,000 crores which the ED has confiscated, more than 24,000 crores belonging alone to Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya and Mehul Choksi have not only been confiscated but monetized.
No, he's not talking about that.
When the Modi government came to power, now let me finish. When the Modi government came to power, there were 38,000 so-called NGOs which used to flagrantly violate every FCRA norm, including many organizations funded by George Soros, the likes of Greenpeace. Let me tell Abhijit Iyer Mitra, who had the audacity to ban Greenpeace? Who had the audacity to ban Akar Patel's Amnesty India, which is just another Hindu-phobic platform? Which is the government which actually summarily cancelled the licenses of more than 16,000 NGOs for violating FCRA norms. So it's very nice of you to sit here and wax eloquent that the government has not done this and not done that. The fact that you and me are today discussing George Soros. Did we discuss Soros for the last 50, 60 years when the Congress was in power? No. And any resolution to a problem starts with a discussion.
Okay, let me bring in Tanveer Ahmed. Tanveer Ahmed, very quickly. Yes, I think Smita Prakash is also raising her hand, and so is Dr. Ranganathan. So Tanveer Ahmed, before I go to them, let me come to you. You haven't spoken on the show, and thank you for your patience. Now, I'm just asking you a very simple question. Why should we doubt Jaishankar when he talks about a foreign hand working overtime to disrupt India's democracy and influence the outcome of elections in 2024? It's a basic question I began with. When, in the past, we have seen how foreign hands have disrupted hugely other countries, including, if one were to go by what comes out from time to time, even our country.
Okay.
Let me just tell you the part of my training. I was the first national spokesperson of Janata Dal, and Devagowda himself trained me. Devagowda told me two things, that never question the government of the day when it comes to foreign policy, and never question the government of the day when it comes to our forces. But however, there are certain questions which we definitely need to really ask with all respect to Dr. Jaishankar. Has raised some points. See, let me just tell you, you gave 5 minutes 13 seconds to Sanju Verma. Before Mr. 30 seconds comes, let me have my time, please. Okay. Mr. George Soros. Nobody absolutely cares about George Soros. Only I think BJP is the only party which is really caring about him. Before George Soros came on a debate, I'm echoing on my ear, so George Soros came on a debate, nobody in opposition was not even knowing his name. And now we really come out saying that he has a conspiracy theory, he wants to really throw the government of the day. But however, he asked 3 questions which Sanju Verma definitely need to really answer. What is the relationship between Mr. Modi and Adani? That was question number 1. Why was Mr. Adani given undue support? Question number 2. And third question he asked was about the genocide, I think, which is done and dusted. And I'm not going to ask that question. But now here is a point. Now everybody from the opposition, Mr. Abhijit Iyer says, no action. What more action you want to take, Mr. Abhijit Iyer? Every person, every media house which spoke one word against Mr. Narendra Modi's government, they are sitting behind bars. Students of the Delhi University, they are behind bars. Every person, do you want even a legitimate political spokesperson like me? Sir, alt media, what happened? What was his problem?
Listen, what did alt media do?
No, I'm asking alt media.
He painted that jihadist. First of all, he is in media. He's a jihadist. He painted a target on a woman, and 12 people died. Do you want me to show you the video of the beheading?
No, I don't.
No, shall I show you you remember the slow slicing of the neck?
Abhijit, you can answer
do you
it
remember
later.
the slow slicing of the neck?
One second.
That was because of Mohammed Zubair.
I don't know, because
No, I'll show you the video. Here, let me get the video. I'll show it to you right now. That was because of your beloved alt media.
Sir.
No,
it's
okay.
Please don't show it. Please don't show it. No, please don't. 1 second.
That you consider the mouthpiece of ISIS in India as a media organization.
Okay, well, hang on. A lot of things are being said. Now listen, I'm no friend of, this individual alt or whatever it is, but look, let's not go there. Let's not throw adjectives around which that person is not here to rebut, but let's just set that aside. The point is, I'm not understanding what you are saying. Mr. Ahmed, okay, Soros asked these questions. Who in God's name is Soros? If you don't know him, if you don't even know him. No, hang on. JDS spokesperson, sir. If you don't know Soros, why should we take his question seriously?
BJP wants to make this as an issue.
No,
BJP wants to make this as
Rahul
an issue.
Gandhi made it an issue. The Congress party made it an issue. They are the #1 opposition in this country. Smita Prakash, quick response to Mr. Tanveer Ahmed. We picked up
some... Did Rahul Gandhi speak about George Soros?
Can I come?
Okay, let her come.
Did Rahul Gandhi speak? Did Kumaraswamy speak about George Soros? Did Akhilesh Yadav spoke about George Soros? Nobody.
Salil Shetty, a George Soros employee, was part of Rahul Gandhi's...
Okay, one second. Let Ms. Prakash come in. Smita Prakash, yes. Okay, let's not speak over each other. Smita Prakash wants to come in. She's been waiting also. Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Smita Prakash, go ahead.
Can I on the stage with Narendra Modi? Did he question?
Look, Abhijit made a point about...
Yeah, go ahead.
Tanveer.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. Abhijit made this point that action should be taken, which is follow the money trail. And what he was saying was that, it's not been done so far. The money trail has not been. Unfortunately, the funding is done in such a surreptitious manner, in such a sleek manner, that it's difficult to point out, it's difficult to pick. Look, the FCRA crackdown and things like that, they are great, but the funding happens in a very insidious manner. Notice, Rahul, that when the foreign minister made this point about Soros, a couple of top editors, friends or whatever, acquaintances of you and me, they got so offended with just that word old. Really? I mean, is Soros George Clooney? He's not. He is old. He's in his 90s, so you will call him old, right? But no, they got offended just by that term. And just because there are some politicians who are not naming him, doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. And as far as Tanveer is concerned, when he says that, you know, Tanveer, when you say, I don't even know who Soros is, that just goes to show that Soros doesn't think you or your party is important enough to fund. Otherwise, you would know who Soros is.
Ah. Wow, that's a blistering attack.
We actually
so आपको मिला नहीं
direct funding,
अहमद साहब
Rahul.
मिला नहीं इसलिए पता नहीं. Okay, ठीक है, चलो.
Our party gave a prime minister to India.
चलो, at least you are not on the payrolls. Ahmed Saab, salute you.
We don't
salute you.
We don't want George Soros.
Exactly. You don't want his money, his dirty money, stinking money. Let me tell you, viewers, what George Soros has said. Okay, I'll tell you what George Soros once said. He says he doesn't care about outcomes of his actions. He only wants to make money. That guy, viewers, that guy today is asking questions about where Indian democracy is today, as if he cares. Dr. Ranganathan raising his hand. Yes, doctor.
Very briefly, Rahul, 2 points. Number one, Abhijit, as usual, has made some brilliant points. But Abhijit, just a small counter. I think it's more of a mixed bag, to be honest, because I think India under Modi and with the efforts of Dr. Jaishankar has really stood up to the West, especially on Russia and Ukraine, and even you would accept that on oil and gas. At the same time, very perplexingly, it has cowed down to a country of 1.5 million population, Qatar. So I think everything is happening by design. I don't know. So it's very difficult for me to understand that. You know, at one instance, it stands up to China, to Pakistan, to America, you know, to Europe. At the same time, it cowers behind a lamppost when it comes to Qatar and throws its own person under the bus. Number two, as far as my good friend Tanveer is concerned, Tanveer, please, you know, let's go by facts. When Soros talks about democracy not really being democracy under Modi, what democracy is he talking of when a professor is arrested for sharing a Mamata cartoon in Bengal and acquitted after 11 years? Or when the communist government in Kerala books 120 people for social media posts criticizing CM Vijayan? Or when there exist as many as 275 documented instances of brutal trampling of democracy under the Congress, 87 of those in the last 15 years, including 8,000 activists charged with sedition in a single day? The truth is, Tanveer, by just 10 seconds, Soros's own foundation and its cohorts actively subverted democracy in India by supporting and fanning the illegal Shaheen Bagh and anti-farm bill blockade protests.
Or on what basis can he talk, or can the Congress, for example, Lokesh Jindal Saab, talk about democracy when a chief minister spies by tapping the phones, it's all very public, of a known dissenting challenger to his position in his own party? आप क्या बात कर रहे हैं जिंदल साहब? This has happened less than 2 years ago. Should I name both?
It rests upon the functioning of institutions.
Right. Now, so what institution was functioning or dysfunctioning when the Chief Minister of Rajasthan was accused by Sachin Pilot of spying? Now hang on, I'm asking you this question.
We do not have judiciary holding the government responsible for its every action. There is always a tendency for the government to become
One second.
Only difference between authoritarian regime and a democratic
1 second, I can't hear Jindal. Yeah.
The only difference between an authoritarian regime and a democratic regime is how well are the institutions which
okay, so let me ask you then. Let me ask you. Okay, let me ask you then. What institutional practice was put in place by the Chief Minister of Rajasthan to spy on certain dissidents as they allege? Tell me.
And charge them with sedition.
Let me answer. When you quoted Nehru, let me tell you.
No, I'm not quoting Nehru. I don't live in the 50s or the 60s. I'm living in 2022. Tell me, last year.
To speak out in Lok Sabha or
Wait, answer a question, sir.
Parliament functioned more than 1500 hours.
Look, please answer this question. What instrument of the institution that you hold so in such reverence was used by Mr. Gehlot, in the interests of which democratic principle and practice, to eavesdrop on dissidents within his own party, as they claim? Simple question.
See, I'm not over here to say that we are champions of democracy and the BJP
okay,
is not the
but we are here as the champions of disinformation. Okay, Dr. Ranganathan, quick one. Yes, Sanju Verma, yes, 30 seconds, Sanju Verma, and 30 seconds, Dr. Ranganathan. This time I am putting the 30 seconds down. Yes, 30 seconds, Sanju Verma, 30 seconds, Dr. Ranganathan. Yeah.
You know, Rahul, since George Soros has been at the center of your entire discussion, I will not allow today the Congressies, be it Lokesh Jindal or Kamru Zaman, to get away. Who was Harsh Mandar? He was on the advisory board of Open Society Foundation, a George Soros firm, and also on the advisory board of the National Advisory Council, which was basically the extra judicial, extra constitutional arm constituted by Sonia Gandhi to run the UPA.
Okay.
Salil Shetty, the vice president of Open Society Foundation, who says there are only 2 viruses in India. During COVID, he said this. Okay. One is coronavirus and one, you can guess, he says, Narendra Modi. He is a part of Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo
Okay,
Yatra.
so the Congress should not talk about it. Okay.
No, so what about the 4 sitting judges?
One second, Mr. Jindal, Ms. Verma. One second.
Manmohan Singh's daughter, Amrit Singh, is still employed with Open Society Foundation. And I don't want to be hectic.
Okay, one second.
Judges come out in a press conference and claim that democracy is in danger.
Okay, 1 second. Dr. Ranganathan, please come in.
You don't allow me to heckle him. Can I finish in 10 seconds? The most important thing which no channel has been discussing, Jaishankar Menon, the ex-national security advisor under the Manmohan Singh government, was also a part of a Soros entity.
Okay, I don't know about all of this. He isn't here. Okay, he isn't here to clear his name. It's an allegation that the BJP is making. I'm sure they're making it. Okay, it's a fact. Fine. She says it's a fact. Okay, I can't here underwrite this, viewers, but it's a claim. Okay. Dr. Ranganathan, very quickly. Yes.
Yeah, first of all, not only has Ms. Sanju Verma overshot 30 seconds, she needs to pay me 10 rupees for using my phrase chauthi fail. But Rahul, I will take only 30 seconds. The true test for democracy is the independence of 2 institutions, Supreme Court and Election Commission. And under Modi, these 2 are not compromised, whatever their failings may be. Everything else in an Indian democracy is being stifled as much now as it has ever been. Because sadly there is constitutional approval for it, like for example of freedom of speech. Truth is, just 10 seconds, Modi has never unilaterally overturned a Supreme Court verdict like Rajiv, never abused Article 356 like Indira, and never passed a press objectionable act like Nehru.
I'll leave it at this, viewers. I'll leave it at this. News are coming up.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन से आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। Inside the box you get this little
2 बजे स्कूल स्टार्ट होता है तो वह 2 बजे से पहले ही सभी दादी माँ इधर अपनी जो तैयारी है, अपना जो कुछ होमवर्क है, वह सब करके यहाँ आती है। ये स्कूल के अलावा ये दादी माँ के बहुत ही ऐसे उपक्रम हम यहाँ करते हैं। ये सभी दादी माँ को काशी यात्रा भी हम करके लाए हैं। यहाँ उन्हें पढ़ाई लिखना इतना ही नहीं, तो उनके जीवन में आनंद कैसा आए, इसीलिए उनको किधर घुमाना है या और कुछ करना है। इतना ही नहीं, तो उनका मेडिकल कैंप भी हम हमेशा रखते हैं। कोई दादी माँ बीमार पड़े तो उसको भी हम अच्छी तरह से मदद करते हैं। तो बहुत ही उनके जिंदगी में जो ज्ञान उपयुक्त है वह सब उन्हें यहाँ बताया जाता है। अच्छे तरह से जीवन कैसा बिताना चाहिए, अपना जीवन आरोग्यपूर्ण कैसा होना चाहिए, कोई बीमारी से किस तरह से झगड़ना चाहिए, इतना ही नहीं बीमारी कौन सी भी न होए, इसी तरह का जो कुछ ज्ञान है वो भी इधर ये सभी दादी माँ को दिया जाता है। खेल कूद में भी ये दादी माँ बहुत ही अग्रेसर रहती है। पेंटिंग करना, हैंडक्राफ्ट का कुछ काम करना, यह भी काम ये सब दादी माँ करती है। हमारे दादी माँ स्कूल को अभी तक बहुत ही अवार्ड प्राप्त हुए हैं। इतना ही नहीं, लिम्का बुक रिकॉर्ड भी ये दादी माँ स्कूल का हुआ है। ये स्कूल चालू करने का यही हेतु था कि बुजुर्गों को सम्मान मिलना चाहिए। अगर ये सभी दादी माँ को अच्छी तरह से लिखना पढ़ना या उनको साइन भी करने आने लगी तो भी उनके लिए उनका पूरा जीवन ही सम्मानजनक और सफल हो जाएगा।
लहान होते तेव्हा शाळेत गेले नाही।
आमची परिस्थिती कठीण होती आई बाबाची, मग ते शाळेत पण नाही टाकली।
आजीबाईच्या शाळेमध्ये आल्यापासून माझं आयुष्य बदलूनच गेलं।
ही शाळा चालू झाल्यापासून आम्हाला सही बी येते।
आम्ही कोणत्या गावाला गेलो का आता कोणाला विचारायची गरज नाही, आम्हाला आता पाटी लिहिता वाचता येते।
आजीबाईच्या शाळेत आल्यापासून मला आनंद वाटला ना, जीवन बदलला।
ये स्कूल के द्वारा मैं यही मैसेज देना चाहता हूँ कि आपके घर में जो कुछ दादी माँ है उनका हम बहुत अच्छी तरह से सम्मान करना चाहिए। अभी हमारे देश में जो एल्डर लोगों के लिए जो हाउस अभी बन रहे हैं तो वैसा नहीं होना चाहिए। यह बुजुर्ग स्वयंपूर्ण स्वावलंबी हो गए और खुद पे वो निर्भर हो गए, वो आनंदी रह गए तो पूरा घर परिवार जो है वह भी आनंदी और चैतन्यमय हो सकता है। और इसीलिए ये दादी माँ को पढ़ाना बहुत ही जरूरी है।
बेसिकली स्क्रोलिंग एनिमेशन शुड बी स्मूदर, क्योंकि 120 हर्ट्ज अब ज्यादातर फोन्स पे स्टैंडर्ड भी हो गया है। देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन 90 हर्ट्ज यूज्ड टू बी द स्टैंडर्ड रिफ्रेश रेट, बट 120 अब ज्यादातर फोन्स पे आपको दिखाई देगा। इसके अलावा दिस डिस्प्ले इज प्रोटेक्टेड विद कॉर्निंग गोरिल्ला ग्लास 5, तो आपको इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि डिस्प्ले को कुछ हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। द फोन इज ऑल्सो offering IP53 rating to prevent all the dust as well as water splashes. यहाँ पर और जैसे कि डिस्प्ले पे आपको दिख रहा होगा, bezels are pretty thin.
On the show tonight, viewers.
According to reports, at least 3 accused in the alleged Bhiwani murder case share close ties with Haryana police. They are known to be working with them as police informers and suspected cattle smugglers. Meanwhile, Rajasthan police spills the beans on CCTV, says victims are thrashed badly and taken to Haryana police station. Former Chief Minister and Congress leader Bhupinder Singh Hooda demands a thorough probe into the twin murder case. A Mahapanchayat held in Haryana's Manesar in support of accused Monu Manesar. Hundreds of youth to hold march in his support in Gurugram.
Hello and welcome. 110 mm एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह। यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की। नमस्ते टाइम्स ड्राइव फैमिली, आई एम क्रांति संभव। वेलकम टू द फर्स्ट ड्राइव रिव्यू ऑफ BMW 3 सीरीज GL यानी ग्रैंड लिमोजीन, जो ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर 3 सीरीज से ज्यादा लंबी है व्हील बेस के हिसाब से। कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए, और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम का, ज्यादा स्पेस का, वो दावा पूरा हो पा रहा है या नहीं। सो बिफोर आई
Meta laid off 11,000 plus employees, Amazon 10,000. Twitter 3700 plus, Snapchat 6000. Guys, list और भी लंबी है और अगर एक headline जो हर newspaper, हर news channel चला रहा है आजकल, that's about layoffs affecting the big tech industry. Big tech companies are in big trouble. एक time था जब ये industry future proof थी and job security के लिए काफी जानी जाती थी, but restructuring and sustainability के नाम पे भर के job cuts हो रहे हैं. So क्या tech का dream run over हो चुका है? What lies ahead? Let's find out in this video, and I'm Sumita Kharir. Big tech का big reset moment आ चुका है guys. Let's start with the basics first. Extent of layoffs की बात करें तो 2022 में more than 1,37,492 workers have been laid off across 850 plus tech companies. But how did big tech get here? Well, number one, misplaced pandemic boom. Online businesses में boom हुआ after the COVID-19 pandemic, where everybody was stuck at home. सब घर पे बैठ के order कर रहे थे, Netflix पे content देख रहे थे और social media platforms पे ज़्यादा time spend कर रहे थे. तो naturally businesses ने वहाँ spend करना शुरू कर दिया जहाँ growth दिखी, like Meta overspent on metaverse, AR, VR.
आप लंबी दूरी पर काफी आरामदेह तरीके से जा सकते हैं. एवरेज इंडियन हाइट के लिए तो ये जगह काफी है, लेकिन ये जगह एडिक्वेट होगी क्योंकि मेरी हाइट के लिए अगर मैं कहूँ तो यहाँ पर अगर मैं थोड़ा सा अपराइट बैठूँ तो यहाँ पर ये मेरा सर टच कर रहा है, बट अगेन आई एम नॉट एवरेज इंडियन हाइट, थोड़ा सा मैं ज्यादा लंबा हूँ. तो ओवरऑल स्पेशियस, कंफर्टेबल मुझे लग रही है 2 लोगों के लिए खास तौर पर, और वैसे 3 लोगों की भी जगह है, लेकिन यहाँ पर ये जो हिस्सा है बैकरेस्ट, वहाँ पर आपको आर्मरेस्ट मिलेगा. यहाँ पर फोन वगैरह या टैबलेट वगैरह रखने की जगह है.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The hate for Narendra Modi has breached all boundaries, both internally and externally. There has been a series of coordinated attacks to defame the Sarkar, which is directly running down India's growth story as well. We have seen in the past few weeks ago how foreign hand is at play, from the Adani crisis to BBC documentary to meddling in India's democracy. It seems there is no end to these dubious plans. Today, in one of the fiercest attacks on this ecosystem, Narendra Modi's Mantri launched a multi-pronged attack on critics of the Modi Sarkar. Busting the Videshi Raga, S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, questioned the timing of the release of BBC's documentary. He asserted that it is not accidental and termed the Western narrative as war by another means. He said that though this is poll season, which has started in India, the action is taking place in New York and London. Going after the so-called cheerleaders of the opposition, the foreign minister warned of a sinister plot to paint an extremist picture of Bharat. He even panned Rahul Gandhi for giving an upper hand to China during the Taiwan face-off. Listen in to the unsparing attack by S. Jaishankar, NDA minister.
There is a phrase, war by other means. There is also, think of it, this is politics by another means. I mean, you'll do a hatchet job. Then you want to do a hatchet job and say, well, you know, this is just another quest for truth which we decided after 20 years to put out at this time. So I mean, come on, you think the timing is accidental? I mean, let me tell you one thing. I don't know if election season has started in India and Delhi or not, but for sure it has started in London and New York. See, look, this is a globalized world. People take that politics abroad. Politics of India doesn't stop at its borders. Sometimes politics of India doesn't even originate in its borders. It comes from outside. You know, ideas come from outside, agendas come from outside. Otherwise, please tell me why suddenly, you know, there's a surge of reports and, you know, attention and views. I mean, were some of these things not happening earlier? I mean, I gave you the example of Assam.
Yeah.
I mean, people speak about, okay, you had to make a documentary. Many things happened in Delhi in 1984. Why didn't we see a documentary on that? I think they are deliberately misrepresenting the situation. I give you two very specific examples of that. You remember that whole halla which happened on a bridge? You know, they were building a bridge in Pangong Tso.
Yeah.
When did that area actually come under Chinese control? The Chinese first came there in 1958 and Chinese captured it in October 1962. Now you're going to blame Modi government in 2023 for constructing a bridge which the Chinese captured in 1962? I just look at the budget of the border infrastructure. During the Modi period, the budget has gone up 5 times. If you look at the roads which are built, you look at the bridges that are built, they have doubled or tripled.
Okay.
But you know, I mean, if he has superior knowledge, wisdom, I'm always, as I said, for me, life is a learning process.
Superior knowledge, wisdom on China.
If he has, I'm always willing to listen. I think they are deliberately misrepresenting the situation. I give you two very specific examples of that. You remember that whole halla which happened on a bridge? You know, they were building a bridge in Pangong Tso.
Yeah.
When did that area actually come under Chinese control? The Chinese first came there in 1958 and Chinese captured it in October 1962. Now you're going to blame Modi government in 2023 for constructing a bridge which the Chinese captured in 1962? I just look at the budget of the border infrastructure. During the Modi period, the budget has gone up 5 times. If you look at the roads which are built, you look at the bridges that are built, they have doubled or tripled. You know, I mean, if he has superior knowledge, wisdom, I'm always, as I said, for me.
But does the opposition's attack on the Sarkar when it comes to China hold water? The BJP asks, can the Congress and company forget how India lost its golden opportunity to become the permanent member of the United Nations Security Council because former Prime Minister Nehru gifted it to China? Just 3 months after the 1954 Panchsheel Treaty, China was back to playing dirty games by violating border rules at Ladakh. The blind faith of Nehru in China resulted in China wresting 20% of the disputed land, which is called Aksai Chin. The list goes on and on. But the opposition blames Modi Sarkar for conceding India's land to China. Listen in.
जब देश की सरहदें हिंदुत्व अपने आप को कहने वाली बीजेपी की रिजीम में हमारी सरहदें सेफ नहीं हैं, भारत के नागरिकों में एक डर की भावना है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने चाइना के साथ कंप्रोमाइज किया। चाइना के सवाल पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर बहुत डिफेंसिव हो जाते हैं और फ्रस्ट्रेशन में वो अनाप शनाप विपक्ष को बोलते हैं। जयशंकर एक बहुत ही फिल्योर इंसान है क्योंकि जो उसके ऊपर लीडरशिप है वो उन्हें काम नहीं करने दे रही है। अगर चाइना ने जो कुछ हमारे साथ किया, यूनाइटेड नेशन में चाइना को हमने क्यों नहीं घसीटा? भारत की आर्मी, भारत के लोग, हम सब लोगों ने कहा कि हम सरकार के साथ खड़े हैं, लेकिन यूनाइटेड नेशन में भारत की सरकार ने चाइना के खिलाफ कदम नहीं बढ़ाया।
Even when it comes to the Soros strike, the report by independent source, Open Source Intelligence Agency, has clearly listed how the billionaire pledged $1 billion to bring down what he calls India's authoritarian regime. This was in Davos in 2020 while he was addressing the World Economic Forum. And Soros had said Narendra Modi is creating a Hindu nationalist state and that it is the biggest and most frightening setback for India. Can this be ignored? And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the legitimate question we're asking on the News Hour tonight. Is this propaganda completely exposed tonight by S. Jaishankar? This ecosystem propaganda? That's the question and that's the debate coming up on the other side. Jaishankar versus lobby. That's the hashtag and the debate coming up.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate tonight is Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha and spokesperson of the BJP. Also joining me tonight is Varis Pathan, spokesperson of the AIMIM. Sushant Sareen, strategic affairs expert, also joins me on the News Hour tonight. Dr. Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader, author, also joining us on the News Hour tonight. We are also joined by the Samajwadi Party spokesperson Sameer Singh and Revula Sridhar Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS, on the News Hour tonight. I want to ask you, Dr. Sanjay Jha. Today, the Foreign Minister has called a spade. He's not only talked about Rahul Gandhi and China and his comments on China. He's even talked about the fact that the timing of the BBC documentary, the Soros attack on India, the fact that Mr. Rahul Gandhi virtually every other day by saying 2,000 square kilometers has been taken over by China, and हमारे जवान पिट रहे हैं तवांग में, these kind of statements, he's actually giving a handle to the foreign powers, because all of these comments are being noted by powers across the globe. I want to ask you, Dr. Sanjay Jha, even tonight, with so many facts being put on the table by Dr. S. Jaishankar, do you think the Congress and the opposition really needs to do some soul searching?
Navika, I heard Mr. Jaishankar's interview with a great deal of interest, but I must be very upfront. And in short, it was puerile, infantile, and at times even preposterous. And I will take just 1 minute to debunk all the 3 points that he highlighted on. Let's start with the George Soros comment on the Hindenburg report. I mean, doesn't Mr. Jaishankar know that the markets have wiped off Adani Group valuations by $130 billion US? To call that a foreign conspiracy is like revealing a height of intellectual dishonesty or complete ignorance of market realities. I mean, the BJP cannot be living in a fool's paradise, for God's sake. They should have greater intelligence to kind of at least respect, I think, the intellectual heft of the viewers of your program. I don't want to even comment on the Hindenburg report. I can tell you that the Adani story is still unfolding and unraveling. And I can understand the discomfiture of Mr. Jaishankar, because Mr. Modi happens to be in the forefront of the allegations against him. Point number 2, let's go down to this China issue, Navika. Very pertinent. Ridiculing Rahul Gandhi is not going to get this government anywhere. As I can tell you, the territorial integrity of India, the sacrosanct nature of our boundaries is not the prerogative of a ruling party or the monopoly of a government. Everyone has the right, we are all stakeholders, to know what's going on at our borders. And I want to give you one example why no one trusts Mr. Modi's government. When Galwan happened in June 2020, what did the Prime Minister tell the people of India? No Chinese soldier came into India. 20 Indian soldiers were officially killed in that terrible encounter. Guess what the Chinese did? The Chinese said this is further evidence that the Galwan Valley happens to be in the Chinese part of the line of actual control. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, the kind of embarrassment coming from the highest office tells you why nobody can trust this government. Mr. Jaishankar then tried to do a damage control, but trust me, everyone knows that this government uses foreign policy for domestic political posturing, the same muscular machismo that Mr. Modi wants to position himself to the voters in India. At risk is our borders with China, and we need to put it out.
Well, Dr. Sanjay Jha, you say this government uses foreign policy for domestic politics. I don't know, but are you saying that Mr. Rahul Gandhi and other opposition parties do not use foreign policy and matters of foreign policy that are extremely serious as a matter of politics? I mean, that's holier than thou. But let me get in Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, calling the bluff of Rahul Gandhi is not what the BJP will benefit by, says Dr. Sanjay Jha, and he says that nobody in this country trusts the BJP Sarkar at all on issues of foreign policy, especially China.
Unfortunately, I would like to add what Sanjay Jha has said. Sanjay ji, Congress party is reclining on foreign forces to damage the image of Sri Narendra Modi, then the Bharatiya Janata Party, now after he became Prime Minister, to the extent of damaging the image of India since 20 years. I'm saying with firm conviction, 20 years. You have written 15, 16 years back to US Senate, the 60 member of parliament of the country, that Modi ji should not be given visa, despite the fact that Modi ji never applied for visa. And there were several Congress MPs. This was an utter disrespect to the sovereignty of India, to the democracy of India, to the judiciary of India. And you are saying that we people are trying to be. Then again, I would like to say, the same George Soros, anybody can go and check. In 2011, when UPA government with marred were so many serious charges of corruption, Indian economy was going down, the rate of growth was up, well below the rate of inflation. At the time, George Soros has praised the Indian government about their economic policies. And now when India is becoming 5th largest economy, and to the knowledge of our opponent friends, Mr. Waris Pathan and Mr. Sanjay Jha, I would like to say, first time a major country like Russia has started trading in rupee. Now, I am not talking about the smaller countries like Mauritius and Sri Lanka has agreed. I am not talking about the Nepal, Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, 34 countries are agreeing. It is Germany and European Union has come to the talks on trading with rupee. There may be some vested interest. And that's why I am saying, sir, हम बहुत सुनते थे अपने बचपन में, इंदिरा जी कहती थी इसमें विदेशी हाथ है, मगर आज तो हाथ का विदेशी साथ और साथ की करामात बहुत साफ दिखाई पड़ रही है. There is no if and but about it. And as far as the fact is concerned, जो संजय झा जी ने बोला उसी में से पॉइंट कहता हूं. In Galwan, 20 of our soldiers got martyred. In which fight? In which this is a hand-to-hand fight, without firing even a bullet, and the Chinese said there not even a single injured. Sir, how ridiculous this data is कि एक तरफ के 20 लोग हाथापाई वाली फाइट में मारे गए और दूसरी तरफ कोई घायल भी नहीं हुआ. And you are relying on the Chinese claim. Sir, this is the bankruptcy of the opposition when they came on relying on China, when China is passing through its worst diplomatic isolation after Tiananmen Square. If I ask my good friend Sanjay ji and other opponent spokesperson, can they name just 4 countries which are taking the side of China other than North Korea and Pakistan? Why I'm saying 4? Because in Quad we are with 4 countries. You please name, these are the 4 countries which in the issue of conflict with India are on the side of China. Please let me know. And then the people will be knowing that who is having a dexterous foreign policy under the leadership of Jaishankar.
Respond, Dr. Sanjay Jha.
Well, Navika, he did not answer.
Respond, Dr. Sanjay Jha.
Yeah, thank you, Navika. सुधांशु जी, आपने तो मूल्य प्रश्न का जवाब ही नहीं दिया. फिर वही बयानबाजी, फिर वही भाषण. आप बताइए दर्शकों को कि मोदी जी ने देश को झूठ क्यों बोला कि चाइना के तरफ से कोई भारत पर आक्रमण किया ही नहीं, कि हमारे सीमा के अंदर कोई आया ही नहीं. ये आपने एक तरीके से भारत के जो बहादुर, जो हमारे जो सैनिक है, उनका आपने अपमान किया, क्योंकि हमारे बहादुर शहीद हुए वहां पे, और चाइना ने उसका फायदा उठाते हुए कहा कि गलवान वैली तो फिर चाइना के अंदर ही है, क्योंकि हम तो अपने ही इलाके में थे. देखिए, आप जो हैं, आप लोग हर चीज में राजनीति करते हैं. नाविका, द ट्रेजेडी ऑफ द बीजेपी इज दे हैव पॉलिटिसाइज्ड द मिलिट्री and they shoot from the shoulders of the military on the opposition. Can you imagine how cowardly it has become? आप लोग कायरता का एक मसाल बन चुके हैं. आप लोग जो इतने
my friend Dr. Sanjay Jha, you know, normally I see you and find you extremely reasonable in the arguments you put out. But I want to ask Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, the charge on you is that you're making everything political. Is the opposition not making things political? Are they not seeing the design that BBC doesn't make any documentary on the 1984 riots only before every election on the Prime Minister and the 2002 riots? Is that a coincidence, Sudhanshu Trivedi ji?
I am talking strictly professional. With Sanjay ji, I would like to say, who has given this statement that China has not entered into our territory? It was military. And still you ask the question. On surgical strike, it was Director General Military Operation give the statement. Still you ask the question. After Balakot strike, Air Force gives the question, gives the answer. And you ask the question, who politicizes the statement of army? You people, not us, sir. It is you people, you always put question on the claims of the military despite the fact that in other major countries like Aman al-Jawahiri मारा गया, आप बताइए, किसी ने पूछा हो, मुझे सबूत दीजिए. ओसामा बिन लादेन की डेड बॉडी दिखाओ, किसी ने पूछा अमेरिका में? Here is the problem, sir. You politicize. And if I ask you, sir, बांग्लादेश किसने तोड़ा? अभी कहेंगे इंदिरा गांधी ने तोड़ा. अभी कहेंगे इंदिरा गांधी ने तोड़ा. Nobody takes the name of General J.J. Jacob, who has led the paratroopers in Dhaka. Nobody takes the name of General Jagjit Singh Arora, who was chief of the Eastern Command. And even nobody takes the name of General Sam Manekshaw, who was army chief. It was Indira Gandhi, Indira Gandhi and Indira Gandhi. अरे हमारा statement military देता है, फिर आप question करते हैं. The fundamental problem lies here, sir.
Can I respond to him very quickly?
Well, let me get in Mr. Waris Pathan. No, Mr. Waris Pathan. Mr. Waris Pathan, raising questions is the job of the opposition, and they must do that. Whether it is China, whether it is the economy, whether it is unemployment, of course you must ask the questions. But the question I want to ask is, don't you also have a duty to look at what works against India and whether or not the opposition is giving a handle to foreign powers when they train their guns on issues concerning India? Whether it is hamare jawan pit gaye Tawang mein, whether it is the issue of during Doklam private dinners happening, whether it is the issue of George Soros who regularly baits India and makes statements against the Prime Minister in this country, a democratically elected government in this country, and also the fact that BBC always finds it extremely convenient to come in just ahead of some election or the other. I want to ask you, how do you respond to Mr. Jaishankar's statement that whether or not there are elections in New Delhi, preparations have begun in the United States and in London?
Well, Nabika, I will answer to your questions in two parts. First, on the statement made by Jaishankar on BBC and the other statement which he spoke about China. First and foremost, the BBC made a documentary on the 2002 pogrom of Gujarat, wherein the genocide of Muslims happened, and at that relevant time, Narendra Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And if I want to watch a documentary, under what provision of law can the government stop me from watching a documentary? So many Indians, they wanted to see what is there. See, truth surfaces, it never dies. The reality will never die. We all know what happened in Gujarat. We saw Bilkis Bano. See, I did not interrupt anybody, sir. Sir, I did not interrupt anybody. I did not heckle. I am making my point. Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, my good friend, you are a senior person. Please allow me to make my point. Let us have a decent debate. Then we all saw what happened in Gujarat. Bilkis Bano was raped, gang rape. She was pregnant. A 6-month-old daughter was killed. Her mother was gang rape. Her sister was gang rape, killed. So people wants to see what happened there. What was the role of then Chief Minister Narendra Modi, but the government of that day does not want to watch us. Jaishankar spoke about BBC that how can they just come out before the election? Elections happen everywhere. Even now the Meghalaya election is going on. So will the BBC has to see and watch? When will they try to show it to the people of the country? No. They did their job, but the government wants to suppress the freedom of choice, freedom of expression, which is against the constitution, against the democratic values of our country. Second thing, he spoke about China, that day China wale to jab bhi aaye the so many years back, and so he should have spoken what is the present situation at the borders. Modi does not even have the courage to take name of China. He is not showing his 56-inch chest to China. He is not showing his red eyes to China. Wherein China came in 2,000 square kilometer inside our territories they have occupied. We have got the video footage to show that what happened in Galwan. Modi said nothing happened. We lost 21 soldiers. 21 of our soldiers were martyred. In what happened in Tawang? They came, though we are very proud of our soldiers, they gave them the befitting reply and they had to run away the Chinese people. But then what steps have we taken to ensure the safety of our soldiers? That answer Jaishankar did not give. Third thing, what message are we sending you to the world at large? Today itself, in Rajasthan and Haryana, people come out on the street and they were abusing, threatening the police that if you try to register an FIR, if the FIR is not taken back within 24 hours, if Monu Manesar is arrested, we will do this, we will take revenge, we will burn this and that. Don't you think that this message is going directly outside the country as well? We have all seen during Nupur Sharma's time how our bureaucrats were called. They were summoned by the foreign people and they were questioned. Today, what happens to democracy of our country when such kind of threats are given to the police? Is there law and order in our country? What happens to democracy? What happens to the constitution? People are moving with guns in their hand, flaunting their AK-56 rifles in the car. They are putting it to the YouTube channel.
So democracy is under threat. The George Soros point of view being echoed by Mr. Waris Pathan, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, George Soros की भाषा यहाँ वारिस पठान भी बोलेंगे, कांग्रेस पार्टी, इनकी डेमोक्रेसी रोज खतरे में पड़ जाती है. डॉक्टर सुधांशु त्रिवेदी.
Actually, from China, he has drifted and shifted to so many topics which are really close to his heart. But I will stick to that topic. George Soros is saying, even giving an amount that he will spend around 1 billion, and still you are saying that is nothing. I would like to put forth the timing and the consequence and the suspected conspiracy. Sir, the time and which, at the time when BBC has done this, for the first time there was a defense expo in India. 32 countries defense minister were here. 32 countries. It for the first time happened outside Europe. I can ask you, you name a single instance in which the defense minister of 32 countries have assembled outside Europe. India, which was the biggest importer of the arms and the defense products, has become now emerging as an exporter. More than 400 items have been banned from importing. Now government has taken a decision that 75% of our defense production has to be totally indigenous. Do you not think in a conspiracy emerging in the Western world? Because outside Western world, you name a single country which is capable of making a defense production, and BBC has not reported a single thing on this defense expo. At the same time, they tried to bring the thing 20 years back, despite the fact it has been duly settled by the legislative, judicial and executive process in India. तभी तो मन में शक पैदा होता है, और आप जैसे लोग उधर से सुर, इधर से ताल, और उधर से तराना, इधर से याराना. And that's why the suspicion starts. Because now we have become a global player and Modi ji has become the most popular global leader. So global conspiracies cannot be ruled out, sir.
No, can you direct Times now to show the story as per
let
your
me get in Mr. Samir Singh of the Samajwadi Party.
Or the debate as per their thing. How can you force them anybody? You cannot force BBC. They have put it at a relevant time. The elections are taking place in our country every month, every week. How can you stop them? How can you? What is there to hide, sir? If there is nothing against the government, if Modi is clean, why don't they allow people to watch the
international organization?
Come clean. Let them.
Sushant Sareen ji, while banning. Well, Sushant Sareen, banning any documentary made by anybody is possibly not the right way to go about things, because you ban something, it becomes more popular and more sought after. Having said that, do you find it strange that people are in the opposition party are going out of their way to support BBC? Itna support to they don't give to anybody in this country.
Navika, I am against these kind of bans. But I think sometimes governments start banning things because they think that it will unnecessarily either rake up old issues or probably, poison the communal relations even more, because I think it's a fairly well-known fact that the BBC documentary was a hit job. It's like, you wanting to make a documentary on race relations in the US, and you only interview guys from Black Lives Matters or Antifa or those kind of characters, and then you intersperse half-truths with some things, and you present a documentary, and then you project it as though this is the unalloyed truth. Unalloyed truth came out in the Supreme Court judgment. Mr. Modi was put through the mill, multiple cases, the multiple peshis, all sorts of things happened. But if somebody is not going to be satisfied, they're not going to be satisfied. I just hope that, as Mr. Jaishankar said, although he only spoke about 1984, I would really wish Mr. Waris Pathan would ask questions about a whole lot of other riots which have happened in this country. From Bhagalpur in 89, and I could go back to Ahmedabad in 1969. I could just rattle off, riot after riot after riot after riot.
Muzaffarnagar.
I think the fact of the matter remains, you want to rake it up, you can keep raking it up, and you can keep, wounding the public and not move on. But that is one part of it. The second part of it is, does subversion of democracy happen? Look at the debate in the US itself. When they start talking about the Russians interfering in their democratic system, or other countries saying that the Chinese are trying to influence their elections. For example, the Canadians say that the Chinese were using influence operations in their elections. In the US, the Chinese have tried to intervene. The Russians have tried to intervene. The Americans have done it in other countries. So yes, subversion of elections and democracy in other countries is part of the modern day warfare. Sometimes governments do it. Sometimes organizations like this Soros fellow, those guys do it. I think he just shot his mouth off, and he kind of, made public what his intentions were. But to think that people like him do not indulge in this kind of propaganda, I think it's a mug's game. They very much do it. On the other thing, I think on the issue
absolutely, and Sameer Singh, I'm coming back to you, Sushant Sareen, but Sameer Singh, that's the question I want to ask you. It's not unheard of that there are people who have, conspiracies to try and swing elections in different countries one way or another. And during the Trump election, it was the most vociferous of tales that was told about the Russian, interference in American affairs. So when it is said about India, why is the opposition so, wide-eyed, innocent, and says, "Arey, dekho, foreign powers ke baare mein ye keh rahe hain, they have nothing, they are trying to defend themselves." I want to ask you, Sameer Singh, the fact of the matter is that these things have happened, and why should it not be seen as, as a matter that follows a certain design? And all of this BBC, Soros statement cannot be seen just coincidences which are unconnected.
Navika, I think I would like to present a different angle, which is my point of view, might agree or disagree with it. But my question, or in fact my statement on the entire issue that we're discussing today is it the first time that questions are being raised on how Adani gained all this wealth in a very short span of time, or whether democracy is in danger in the country? The opposition, the Samajwadi Party and other oppositions in various states, regional parties and Congress have been raising these questions for a while now. So when these statements come all of a sudden, say if the Hindenburg report is to be mentioned, or the statement by Soros is mentioned, this is just re-emphasizing what the opposition has been trying to convey to the people of the country for a long while now. We have always been of the opinion that Adani has gained unusual favors from the government, which is how he's built his empire in a very short span of time. Now Hindenburg, probably yes, the opposition could not come up with a research, with a detailed report of how things have gone wrong, of what exactly Adani has done. And Hindenburg report has come at a time when things are, if you can say it as a coincidence, fine. If you can't, because this, if we talk about the BJP and the spokespersons and the leaders of BJP have always reiterated that they have ultimate faith in the Supreme Court of the country, in the judiciary of the country, and blamed the opposition that the opposition somehow does not respect the judiciary. But politics of convenience here. Now, when the Adani question, the Adani Hindenburg report is in question, and certain sections go again. In fact, I would like to mention the recent case where a letter has been a sealed letter suggesting the names of the members of the inquiry set up were given to the Honorable Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court rejected that letter, rejected that envelope, and said that they will be choosing their own members to head the report or as members of the inquiry. So when the Supreme Court is interested in the probe, then why are we going all hungo about the thing that?
So what's your point? What is your question, Mr. No, what is you're going into a whole description of various things. What is your question? What is your point?
My point exactly is that when we are saying that these are conspiracies and the opposition is because the Honorable External Affairs Minister did say that there are certain political parties or the political framework within the country which is working in hands with the foreign players. Well, my entire discussion right now was this, that the opposition in the country has been raising these very questions for a long time now. So when foreign players enter into this scenario,
all right, Mr. Reddy, is Mr. Jaishankar wrong if he says that the opposition seems to be raising the same questions that some foreign powers, want to create a controversy over and question the credibility of India? Yes or no?
By saying this itself, Honorable Minister Jaishankar tried to change the entire narrative. How can you compare some foreign elements with the opposition parties in India? After seeing, Navika, I can tell you, after seeing these debates on Soros and reaction from the couple of union ministers, I can say BJP is overreacting on Soros issue. And for an instance, let's agree that Mr. Jaishankar is perfect in his statements that
overreacting. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, BJP overreacting on the Soros issue, BJP overreacting on the BBC issue, BJP also overreacting on the China issue. Please respond. Please respond. I'm short of time. I'm sorry, I'm short of time. Sudhanshu Trivedi, please respond.
Allow me a sentence.
Please allow me to complete my statement.
One sentence.
Just one sentence I would like to say.
Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi,
those
respond.
Who are saying that we are overreacting, sir, most of the time, just in one sentence, in verbatim, Soros is saying nothing but what exactly Congress is saying. And you are saying we are trying to overplay it. आपने Hindenburg report पे parliament install कर दी. And you are saying we are trying to overplay. On the BBC, you made the issue in parliament. And you are saying we are trying to overplay. That's why we are saying that we are having a strong suspicion that before every session of parliament, a report publishes in foreign media, whether it was at the time of the Rafale, whether at the time of Greta Thunberg during the Kisan Andolan, whether it is the Pegasus time or the Hindenburg or the BBC documentary. Is this just a mere coincidence in the last 7 or 8 years? That every time when the session of parliament starts, just before that, a report emerges in the foreign media and the opposition starts playing it to the tunes of foreign indications.
Well, that's the real point, and Sudhanshu Trivedi nearly nails it. Sushant Sareen, you have 10 seconds to make your one-line remark.
Navika, I have evidence that Mr. Jaishankar
seem to have lost that line with Sushant.
Jaishankar is wrong. The BBC made a documentary on the 1984 Sikh riots and they were broadcasted in the year 2010. So Mr. Jaishankar has been fact-checked and he's been proven wrong.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, There are coincidences that have been pointed out by the BJP. The Congress and the opposition sticks to their point of view. Well, it's election season, but can anybody deny the fact that there are just far too many coincidences when it comes to matters relating to India? Whether it is China issue, whether it is the Kisan Andolan, whether it is the stock markets and the Adanis. The point is, why is the opposition only singing and repeating the tunes that are made by foreign agencies, clearly who may have an axe to grind with India? We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1. We'll slip into a short break, but on the other side, it is live and exclusive. News are direct with Anupam Kher on winning yet another award for Kashmir Files. Why then is everybody so upset once again? That interview coming up on the other side. And joining me tonight live on News Hour Direct is actor Anupam Kher. Anupam Kher, congratulations for your latest award, the most versatile actor, Dada Saheb Phalke International Awards. And आपको ही नहीं है, आपकी फिल्म कश्मीर फाइल्स को भी अवार्ड से नवाजा गया है. अब कितने अवार्ड्स आप समेटते चले जा रहे हैं, और कश्मीर फाइल्स भी आपने कुछ मोनोपोली तो नहीं कर ली?
नहीं, शुभ शुभ बोलिए नाविका जी, नमस्ते. बहुत अच्छी बात है ना, अच्छा काम करो तो अवार्ड मिलना चाहिए. एंड दिस इज अ वेरी प्रेस्टिजियस अवार्ड, इंटरनेशनल दादा साहब फाल्के इंटरनेशनल फिल्म फेस्टिवल अवार्ड. कश्मीर फाइल्स को बेस्ट फिल्म और मुझे बेस्ट मोस्ट वर्सेटाइल एक्टर. 3 फिल्में मेरी बहुत अच्छी गई लास्ट ईयर एंड दे वर ऑल कंप्लीटली डाइवर्सिफाइड. कार्तिकेय 2, कश्मीर फाइल्स एंड ऊंचाई. एंड इट्स अ ग्रेट फीलिंग. और मेरे पास जगह बहुत बनाता रहूंगा. मैं अपने घर में से बाहर आना शुरू कर दूंगा, मगर अवार्ड आते रहने देना चाहिए.
भगवान करे और आए अवार्ड्स आपके पास, अलमारियां, कमरे, घर कम पड़ जाएं अवार्ड्स के लिए. बट आई वांट टू आस्क यू अनुपम खेर, कश्मीर फाइल्स गेटिंग येट अनदर अवार्ड, अनदर recognition, and there are still who continue to criticize this film, and this time they say that the awards themselves have been devalued because Kashmir Files has got this award. How do you see this comment?
थक जाएंगे बेचारे, एक दिन थक जाएंगे, परेशान हो जाएंगे. स्यापा होते थे ना, वो स्यापा करने वाली प्रोफेशनल मोर्नर्स, उनको बुलाया जाता था, वो छातियां पीटती थी, रोते थे और फिर चुपचाप निकल जाते थे. तो दे आर लाइक दैट ओनली. स्यापा पंजाबी च कहंदे ने स्यापा पुट्टा करने वाली. तो लेट देम बी लाइक दैट. Let's not dignify their reaction and sort of take away the joy of winning awards for a film which is not only brilliantly made but also very relevant and very very important in today's time. अब जिनकी तकलीफ है, जिनको परेशानी है, वो तो करते रहेंगे. उनको क्या कह सकते हैं. उन पर तरस आता है मुझे. I feel sad for them कि हम अपनी काबिलियत से अपना नाम कर रहे हैं, वो सिर्फ स्यापा करने से अपना नाम बनाना चाहते हैं.
But Anupam Kher, none of the real facts have been actually challenged on a serious note. A lot has been said about Kashmir Files being a propaganda film. While the government came out and supported the film, the fact is there's not much that has changed on the ground. Do you feel just a wee bit let down?
By what? Let down by what?
By the fact that अभी भी कश्मीरी पंडित लौटे नहीं हैं.
पिक्चर का काम दुनिया को अपनी उनकी ट्रेजेडी बताना है, which was very important because 32 साल तक भी जिन्होंने डिनाई किया था उसको डिनाई करके रखा. एटलीस्ट आज की डेट में 32 साल बाद हम कश्मीर फाइल्स को, कश्मीरी पंडितों की प्रॉब्लम को डिस्कस तो करना शुरू किया है। 32 साल तक तो कश्मीरी पंडित एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करते थे। तो चलिए, इस बात का ये फायदा तो हुआ कि कश्मीर फाइल्स बनने के बाद टेलीविजन चैनल्स पर, लोगों की डिबेट्स में, लोगों के ड्राइंग रूम्स में, देश विदेश में पंडितों की परेशानियों को, उनकी तकलीफों को एटलीस्ट हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। और ये बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। कश्मीर फाइल्स के बाद अभी हम आर्टिकल 370 हटने के बाद हर घर तिरंगा में की मुहिम पर 15 अगस्त 2022 को कश्मीर के ऐसे इलाकों में झंडा फहराया गया है जो हमने जिंदगी में कभी देखा ही नहीं। पिछले साल जो लोगों की जो क्या कहते हैं, टूरिज्म जो था वो इतना बड़ा था। हमारी प्रॉब्लम भी सॉल्व होती चली जाएंगी, होंगी धीरे धीरे। इट टेक्स अ लिटिल टाइम, इट डज नॉट, आई एम नॉट सॉर्ट ऑफ थैंकलेस फॉर द फिल्म दैट इट हैज, द अवेयरनेस दैट इट हैज क्रिएटेड। बाकी all those people who are sort of saying that कश्मीरी पंडितों की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हुई है, I'm not talking about you, but the same people who said कि इतने पैसे बना लिए, इतना ये कर लिया, at least उनको इस बात का एहसास हो रहा है कि कश्मीरी पंडित एग्जिस्ट करते हैं। तो ये बहुत बड़ी
अनुपम खेर, बिल्कुल। और अनुपम खेर देश दुनिया के सामने हैं, हर फिल्म में होते हैं, उनकी हर फिल्म ब्लॉकबस्टर होती है। ऑफ कोर्स आप सारे अवार्ड्स भी ले जाते हैं। तो कश्मीरी पंडितों का तो बहुत नोटिस किया जा रहा है कि दे आर अलाइव, किकिंग एंड मेकिंग वेव्स ऑल ओवर द प्लेस। बट आई वांट टू आस्क यू अनुपम खेर, कश्मीर फाइल्स, बहुत लोगों ने कहा था कि दिस फिल्म शुड बी बैंड। सरकार ने बैन नहीं की बल्कि सपोर्ट किया इस फिल्म को, लेकिन एक दूसरी डॉक्यूमेंट्री बीबीसी की, उसे बैन कर दिया। आपको लगता है बैन करने से किसी भी मसले का हल निकलता है? किसी भी इकोसिस्टम को आप कोई मैसेज दे सकते हैं?
I think the representative of the government will be able to answer this question better because I am here to represent my film. I am here to represent the award that I got of the most versatile actor. अब ये हम इस पूरी बात को अगर मैं इन बातों का जवाब देना शुरू करूंगा तो हम फिर कश्मीर फाइल से फोकस कहीं और ले जाना चाहिए। पहली बार, एटलीस्ट वंस, लेट मी हैव द जॉय ऑफ पुटिंग द फोकस ओनली ऑन कश्मीर फाइल्स, ओनली ऑन द अवार्ड दैट आई हैव वन, ओनली ऑन द वर्क that has gone behind these 3 films that I did, and the work that the director and the producers have put behind these films, not only of Kashmir Files but Kartikeya 2 also and Ujai also. ये लोगों को लगता है कि फिल्म जो है बन जाती है और देख लेते हैं, उसके पीछे कितनी मेहनत होती है, कितने आंसू होते हैं, कितनी तकलीफें होती हैं। कश्मीर फाइल्स के लिए मेरे को अवार्ड मिलना या मेरे फिल्म को अवार्ड मिलना इज नॉट कि मैं गया और मैंने एक्टिंग की और मैंने डायलॉग बोले और मैं चला आया। उसमें बहुत कुछ जाता है, बहुत 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 तकलीफ होती है, खासकर कश्मीर फाइल जैसी। इट वाज नॉट अ फिल्म फॉर मी, पर इट वाज मच मोर देन फॉर मी। और कश्मीर फाइल इज मेड बाय एन इंडियन फॉर द इंडियंस एंड फॉर द वर्ल्ड। मैं बीबीसी की बात इसमें क्यों करूं? BBC is a private organization which makes television programs. अब उनके बारे में क्या किया उन्होंने, क्या नहीं किया, it's not important to me. The government representative will be able to answer that. और बैन करो नहीं करो, आप विधानसभा में बोलो इसको YouTube पे चला दो, तो फिर उसको छोड़ दो, जिसको नहीं देखनी है पिक्चर वो ना देखे, जिसको नहीं देखनी है। It is not about that. It is about, देखो इसी हमको 1000 साल लग गया आजाद होने में नाविका जी, 800 साल मुगलों से और 200 साल अंग्रेजों से। तो शायद उस प्रवृत्ति को बदलने में अभी भी हमारे लिए बीबीसी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वो क्या बोलते हैं हमारे बारे में या वो क्यों नहीं बोलते हैं। अभी तो सोरोस भी क्या बोलते हैं वो भी इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया है। ये बाकी ये तो एक पूरा एक तरीका तैयार हो रहा है कि 2024 में कैसे लोगों को बोला जाए कि ये सरकार अच्छी नहीं है. How can you do that? How can I was today watching on the show that people who went to Syria are armed forces, are doctors, are Air Force people. They went and met the Prime Minister. How can you take away the fact that the Prime Minister takes so much of interest what they did, what our armed forces did to help Operation Dost, जिसको कहते हैं, in Syria? How can you take away the fact that he is interacting with each and every person? आप उनसे लड़िए ना, आप उनके कामों से तो लड़ नहीं सकते हैं. वो जो कर रहे हैं देश के लिए उनसे आप लड़ नहीं सकते हैं. आप बाहर की किसी कंपनी को बुला के बोलते हैं ऐसी बात बताओ और ऐसा फैलाओ कि ये बदनाम हो जाए. How is it possible? The only way you can defeat a person. सुनिए, let me finish. The only way you can defeat a person.
आप बहुत पते की कर रहे हैं.
नहीं, मैं एक चीज और बोलना चाहता हूँ. The only way you can defeat a person is by your work, not by bringing conspiracy theories and kind of discredit the person. You cannot. You will never be able to do that, my dear. आपको अगर किसी एक्टर को मेरे मुकाबले में आना है, मैं एरोगेंटली नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, मैं बहुत हम्बल तरीके से बोल रहा हूँ, तो उसको मेरे जितनी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. एक फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के क्लर्क का बेटा आज आपसे बात कर रहा है 534 फिल्मों के बाद. अब मेरे को क्रिटिसाइज करते रहो कि जी आप कोई सरकार के बंदे हो, आपकी भी, उससे आपकी एक्टिंग ठीक नहीं हो जाएगी. अगर आपको मुझसे मुकाबला करना है या अगले साल मोस्ट वर्सेटाइल एक्टर का अवार्ड लेना है, तो आपको मेरे जैसी एक्टिंग करनी पड़ेगी. सेम अप्लाइज टू anybody who wants to replace.
बिल्कुल. And you've topped it all. You've topped it all. Your films have done great commercial business. You've got awards. Your films have been liked by people. Touch wood. It's been a good run for you, Anupam Kher. Do you think with the success of Pathaan, Bollywood's turned a corner and the boycott brigade, even the Prime Minister called them out. Will the boycott brigade now take a back seat?
Nobody doesn't have to take a back seat or take a back seat. The point is, Pathaan was a beautiful film, loved by everybody, and it did the business that it deserved. If the film is not good and you put in as much money as you want to put to make it the biggest hit, it will never become. The product has to be good. जिनको चुप नहीं रहना है, अब जैसे कश्मीर फाइल्स को कितनी गालियां दी सब लोगों ने, मतलब उससे थोड़ा हमारे को लोगों ने रिकॉग्नाइज करना बंद कर दिया. मतलब देयर आर मिलियंस एंड मिलियंस ऑफ पीपल. व्हेन आई पुट द अवार्ड फॉर दिस, आपने अभी सक्सेस की बात की. माय 2023 मे नॉट बी बॉक्स ऑफिस वाइज सो सक्सेसफुल, बट आई विल ट्राई टू डू माय वर्क बेटर. तो कितने लोगों को कंडेम करने वाले होते हैं? बायकॉट तो सबसे ज्यादा कश्मीर फाइल्स को किया है. कुछ रोक सके? आमिर खान की फिल्म बुरी थी तो वो चली नहीं. शाहरुख खान की फिल्म कमाल की है और वो चली नहीं. The man has worked very hard, whether it's Adi Chopra.
Succeeds like success. पर अनुपम खेर, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, आज आपसे मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ कि अनुपम खेर शास्त्री बलबोआ हैं, वो कश्मीर फाइल्स का जो कश्मीरी पंडित था, आप वो हैं. आप हैं कौन और आगे आप क्या क्या करने वाले हैं? क्योंकि यू आर डिफाइंग एज, यू आर डिफाइंग एनी डेफिनेशन दैट एनीबडी वुड वांट टू पुट यू और डिफाइन यू बाय. आप कर क्या रहे हैं? कुछ समझाएंगे इस देश के लोगों को कि अनुपम खेर कर क्या रहा है?
मैं अपनी जिंदगी के सबसे रोमांचक फेज से गुजर रहा हूं, क्योंकि अब मुझे खुद को समझ में आया है, एक्टिंग समझ में आई है. मुझे किसी को प्रूव करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आई एम एंजॉयिंग ईच एंड एवरी मोमेंट ऑफ माई लाइफ. आई एम पहले 25 साल जिसमें बहुत सारी 35 साल जिसमें बहुत सारी फिल्में इन्वॉल्व है, मैं करीब बिकॉज मैं प्रूव करना चाहता था, अरे सुनो मेरी बात, मैं अच्छा एक्टर हूँ, मुझे ये चाहिए. अब मुझे पता है मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. आने वाली जो भी फिल्में होंगी, फिल्में कितनी हिट होगी वो पता नहीं है, बिकॉज दैट द ऑडियंस डिसाइड्स, बट पीपल विल से यार इसने अच्छा काम किया है. I am rediscovering myself. I am redefining myself. I am my own competition. मुझे और इसके साथ सबसे बड़ी बात जो है, मैं अनुपम खेर का बोझा लेकर नहीं घूमता हूं कि जी मैं देखो मैं इतना कमाल का हूं, मैंने ये किया। So because मैं वो बोझा लेकर नहीं घूमता हूं, I am light, and because I am light, I can really fly. Because कोई टेंशन नहीं है। मैं आपको पहले भी बता चुका हूं कि मैं आज ही मेरे को किसी ने कहा यार तुम किराए के मकान में क्यों रहते हो? तो किराए के मकान में रहने से मेरे को कोई स्ट्रेस ही नहीं रहा है। So you have to be, I am an unconventional thinker because I do not take myself seriously. कि मैं जो है हिंदुस्तानी फिल्म जगत की मैं एक उसको डिस्कवरी हूं, मेरे से पहले कोई आया नहीं है, मेरे बाद कोई आएगा, ऐसा नहीं है। I enjoy each and every moment, including talking to you right now. Because life is about communicating. Life
well,
is about...
Anupam Kher, it's always something that I enjoy when I speak with you because आप और हम जब बात करते हैं तो दिल से करते हैं और ऐसा लगता है कि बस दो दोस्त रूबरू हो रहे हैं एक दूसरे के साथ। 534 films old and he says he's just about discovered how to act, and this is the man who's so humble. He started his journey with Saransh, which he got an award for, and he's saying मैंने acting आकर अब सीखी है। प्रभु अनुपम खेर एक्टिंग स्कूल में हमें भी दे दीजिए थोड़ी सी जगह, बिकॉज यू आर डूइंग ग्रेट एंड आपको देख के वो इन्फेक्शियस जिंदगी एंजॉय करने का मन करता है। यू आर एंजॉइंग लाइफ एंड दैट्स द वे इट शुड बी। Thank you very much, Anupam Kher, for joining me on the News Hour tonight.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
Technologies to the tune of कुछ reports बोल रही हैं around
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मोहुल, who is founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, I mean, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. But उसके अलावा कुछ और चीज़ें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं। So इस बाइक को लेकर थोड़ा टाइमलाइन, इफ यू कैन एक्सप्लेन किस तरह का टाइमलाइन रहने वाला है एंड कब इसका ऑफिशियली लॉन्च आप करने वाले हैं?
Definitely. So first thing is at the Auto Expo we have also showcased the 6 kilowatt version of the bike. So at launch we had a 5 kilowatt version. Now we also
$36 billion. And by the way, metaverse कोई 1-1.5 साल में तो सेटअप नहीं होने वाला है. So over optimism that this digital boom will forever stay. इसकी वजह से इन्वेस्टर्स भी पैसा डालते गए, हायरिंग्स और स्पेंड्स बढ़ते गए. पर जैसे ही कोविड रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लिफ्ट हुए तब आया स्टोरी में ट्विस्ट. नाउ ये डिमांड जो है डिजिटल इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए, डिजिटल गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज के लिए, ये सस्टेन नहीं रही. बिकॉज ऑफिस जाना है तो कितना फेसबुक यूज करोगे, कितना नेटफ्लिक्स देखोगे. एंगेजमेंट इन सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे गिर गई एंड ग्रोथ सस्टेन नहीं हुई. जूम फॉर इंस्टेंस, द वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग कंपनी, उसके शेयर्स अभी 90% डाउन है. नंबर 2, दूसरा रीजन है ग्लोबल इन्फ्लेशन एंड मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक ट्रेंड्स. नाउ जब ग्रोथ गिर गई तो उसके बाद आया इन्वेस्टर्स का प्रेशर टू फिक्स वैल्यूएशंस. ऊपर से रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर ने इन्फ्लेशन, इंटरेस्ट रेट सबको बढ़ा दिया, व्हिच इज पुट प्रेशर ऑन द ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी. डिपिंग रेवेन्यू. इसके बाद क्या हुआ, एडवर्टाइजर्स ने भी लेस स्पेंडिंग करना शुरू कर दिया और ओवरऑल रेवेन्यूज जो थे इन डिजिटल कंपनीज के वो गिरने शुरू हो गए. फेसबुक का रेवेन्यू वाज डाउन 52% इन Q3 ऑफ दिस ईयर. गूगल टू रिपोर्टेड द स्लोएस्ट ग्रोथ इन 10 years. सो नाउ दीज कंपनीज आर टाइटनिंग देयर बेल्ट and in their words becoming more streamlined and hence slashing jobs. In fact, many companies like Meta amongst others are now reducing real estate and enabling desk sharing. Snapchat is letting go of its offices in San Francisco. So tightening their belt to save costs and hence firing more people. और जो US में होता है उसका असर पूरे वर्ल्ड में तो आता है. And
गियर तो चाहिए. And that's when we said कि let's make something that the consumers truly want. ऐसा नहीं
that's why firings have also been seen.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन से आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. Guys, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। Inside the box you get this little paper box as well, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है। Like I said, वही मिला है हमको। यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है। यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक। अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में
इन इंडिया जॉब कट्स यहाँ पे भी हो रहे हैं। बट बेसिक प्रॉब्लम जो है ओवरऑल इसकी ये है कि टेक एज एन इंडस्ट्री हैज मैच्योर्ड। ये स्टार्टिंग के एक्सट्रीम फंडिंग और ग्रोथ के फेज में नहीं है, अब इशू है इनोवेशन का। सो ये रिकॉन्फ़िगरेशन का टाइम है, रीसेट का टाइम है, तो प्रेशर ऑब्वियसली रहेगा सस्टेन्ड प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी के ऊपर। But does this mean that the golden run of tech is over forever? Well, for now it is, but not for too long. I'll tell you why. 1-2 साल के बाद सब वापस आएंगे जॉब्स देने के लिए। अभी जस्टिफाई करना है कंपनीज को, इन्वेस्टर्स को, फायरिंग करके, कॉस्ट कटिंग से। बट ये ज्यादा टाइम तक नहीं चल सकता, बिकॉज बिजनेस को प्रॉफिटेबल बनाने के लिए
वैसे तो मैट फिनिशिंग है, लेकिन ये जो कलर है इसके अंदर हल्का सा ग्लिटर आपको दिखाई देता है। फ्लैशी नहीं है, अच्छा है। इसको साइड में रखते हैं अब।
Good evening, this is the News Hour Agenda. My name is Pranesh. The fact that Pakistan has sponsored terror and shielded designated global terrorists is not new. But the manner in which they were called out today by Javed Akhtar in Pakistan has made headlines. Attending a poetry festival in Lahore, Javed Akhtar did not mince his words. He said the 26/11 attackers came from Pakistan and did not fall from moon. You have to listen to this and contrast this with what Jaishankar had said when he had gone to Pakistan. We'll talk about that, but this is what Javed Akhtar said, exposing Pakistan in Pakistan.
हमने तो नुसरत के बड़े बड़े फंक्शन किए, मेहदी हसन के बड़े बड़े फंक्शन किए, आपके मुल्क में तो लता मंगेशकर का कोई फंक्शन नहीं है। तो हकीकत ये है, चलिए अब हम एक दूसरे को इल्जाम न दें, उससे सॉल्व नहीं हो। ये अहम बात ये है कि ये जो आजकल इतना गर्म है फिजा, वो कम होनी चाहिए। हम तो बम्बई के लोग हैं, हमने देखा हमारे शहर पे कैसे हमला हुआ था। तो वो लोग नॉर्वे से तो नहीं आए थे, ना इजिप्ट से आए थे, वो लोग अभी भी आपके मुल्क में घूम रहे हैं। तो ये शिकायत अगर हिंदुस्तानी के दिल में हो तो आपको बुरा नहीं मानना चाहिए।
Every patriotic Indian is endorsing every word of what Javed Akhtar said. But there are people who are part of the ecosystem who have a problem with Javed Akhtar exposing Pakistan in Pakistan. They have a problem with Javed Akhtar holding a mirror to Pakistan. They have a problem with Javed Akhtar telling Pakistan that if you want peace and normalcy, you must stop terror. Let's start with the Congress's reaction. Shama Muhammad, the national spokesperson of the Congress, has taken umbrage. She is miffed with the fact that Javed Akhtar called Pakistan a terror sponsor.
Ma'am, Javed Akhtar was in Pakistan. He was put forward with a question that why do India keep talking about terrorism and complaining about terrorism, to which he said that the perpetrators of 26/11 are roaming free in Pakistan. They didn't come from Syria or Egypt or Spain. Then who should we complain to? It has to be Pakistan, who should act as they say.
Now why is he in Pakistan? Ask him that.
Javed Akhtar ji has shown that he has a spine to speak up before the Pakistani community of what India feels about 26/11. while the guilty of roaming free in Pakistan, here is one Indian who stood up and said what is the correct thing. And I think a lot of Indians in the ecosystem must open their eyes and realize here's one man who's speaking his heart.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's quickly open this up. Aparajita Sarangi, Member of Parliament, National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Rahul Ishwar, activist, Sushil Pandit, activist, political analyst, regular on Times Now, Vivek Bansal, leader of the Congress Party, Lokesh Jindal, leader of the Congress, Vivek Srivastava, political analyst, completes the panel. Good evening to all of you. Sushil Pandit. Every Indian today, sir, at least the patriotic Indians, are happy that Javed Akhtar did what he did, said what he said. But what do you make of this reaction of the Congress Party? When we do surgical strikes, Congress asks for sabut. Now that Javed Akhtar is saying that Pakistan exports terror, Pak terror was behind 2611, Congress is saying, why did he go to Pakistan?
Well, I remember when he'd gone to Pakistan with Atalji in a bus to Lahore, he had similarly told Pakistanis on the table, he was just fresh out of his film Border, for which he had written songs, and Border was very popular. He had given a piece of his mind to then Director General of PTV, who was a former army officer, former general. And he didn't miss a verse then also. I respect Javed Akhtar for speaking his mind. I don't always agree with him, but more often than not, he speaks sense. He has a point of view. The problem is, Congress today is not bothered about its revival. It is not behaving as a normal party. It doesn't want to learn lessons from its past politics, past stands. It is digging itself deeper into a hole in which it finds itself. It is not able to get the sense of what the popular opinion is, where the country is, what they expect of them. They seem to be always on the wrong side of history. They have to seriously introspect, because Congress is, all said and done, an option in our democratic polity. If Congress collapses as an option, which it has, then we are poorer as electorate.
Okay,
as
Congress must introspect, says Sushil Pandit. Let's put that to the Congress spokespeople on the panel, Lokesh Jindal, Vivek Bansal. Mr. Jindal, would you like to take that first? What is the problem, sir, if Javed Akhtar is exposing Pakistan in Pakistan? आपने मनीशंकर अय्यर को तो नहीं पूछा कि आप पाकिस्तान क्यों गए?
During our times, we had kept culture insulated from politics. We had Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan coming to India. We had Pakistani singers coming to India.
No, but Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan के साथ तो कसाब भी तो आया था, sir.
Listen. The point is, till the time culture, art and architecture and all these forms of aspects are kept beyond politics, it becomes a source for bringing two people together. It plays a role of social constructivism.
Mr. Jindal, you are still not answering the question. What is the problem if Javed Akhtar exposed Pakistan in Pakistan?
The trend that has emerged is politicization of culture. You have Kashmir files.
But this is not about culture. We're talking about terror. What's culture got to do with this? And in any case, Pakistan has no sense of culture. That's a separate debate. Pakistan, Mr. Jindal, I'm sorry to say, Sushil Pandit can speak for 45 minutes, if not less, on how Pakistan has no sense of culture. But we don't have that time. We'll have that debate. I'll have both of you. Let's have that debate some other day. But I asked you a straightforward question. Should the Congress not be applauding Javed Akhtar that he put India first in Pakistan?
See, in which capacity did Javed Akhtar visit Pakistan?
Now, Aparajita Sarangi will ask you, in what capacity did Rahul Gandhi go to the Chinese embassy, sign the MOU? Now, I don't want to get into all of that. She wants to come in, but 1 minute. You're not answering the question, Mr. Jindal. Don't do this. Vivek Bansal, do you want to try? Do you have an answer? Why is the Congress fulminating today when Pakistan stands exposed?
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate Mr. Javed Akhtar's question. What he said, he had the gumption to say this in Pakistan in their backyard. So we have to appreciate that. You call a spade, there is no harm in it. And as far as you were saying that Kasab Aya, so during this NDA rule, do you remember that in Parliament what had happened? Terrorists had entered the parliament. So don't try to equate these things. If Mr. Jindal was citing that we had insulated the culture from politics, so there was nothing wrong in it. So you don't have to just
what is this culture narrative? I don't understand. Mr. Pandit, I'm sorry, I'll have to bring you in again. Let's first dismantle this, de-hyphenate the two. There is no cultural ties with Pakistan because Pakistan does not understand culture, sir. Mr. Pandit.
Listen, Pranesh, you must know, you cannot,
let him speak, sir. Let's show some culture and courtesy here, Pandit.
You see, I think you cannot treat your life in silos, in compartments. Cricket is not a separate compartment, culture and films are not a different separate compartment, politics is not a different compartment, security and economy are not different separate compartments. These are all integrated. They all affect each other. Which is why today if Pakistan is miffed at us, they have severed economic relations, they have severed diplomatic relations, we have severed cricket relations, we have severed cultural relations. We do not let each other come into other domain. Because there is an existential challenge to us. We face an existential challenge. Our unarmed, innocent citizens fall victim to their terror machine.
And every day, therefore, Pakistan's proxy war in Kashmir is killing Indians every day. Let's stress on that word, Rahul Ishwar.
Just two submissions,
Pranesh, culture, rhetoric.
Just two submissions. When Ghulam Ali Saab came to Kerala and India, it was my privilege to touch his feet and get his blessings. Today, every Indian, Javed Saab spoke for every Indian, and it is such a laudable movement that unfortunately some of our liberal friends are feeling offended with. See, when Manishankar ji can go to Pakistan and say, help us bring down Modi, it is secular. When Javed Saab goes there and even questions terrorism, it becomes communal. See, this is the skewed narrative in India. Being Indian beyond any politics, it is our high time that we upload Javed Saab together, and had I met him, I would have touched his feet and asked for his blessings. This is the great Indian voice that every Indian should try.
No, you must meet him, do what you want to. But Mr. Bansal, are you still not convinced? What is this culture thing with Pakistan, sir? What culture?
No. You see, culture, what is sports? We in champion international tournaments we play with Pakistan. So let's not talk about culture or sports. Pakistan is our enemy number one as far as they are exporting terrorism into our country. It cannot be condoned and it has to be criticized in no uncertain terms. As far as the statement of Mr. Javed Akhtar is concerned, he had the gumption to say all this, and we praise that.
Now I am glad at least you've got there. Now hear me out. Let me read what Sam Pitroda had said. He is no stranger. I'm sure you know about him. Just hear me out, sir. He said, and I'm quoting March 2019. Don't know much about attack. It happens all the time. Attack happened in Mumbai also. We could have then reacted. 8 people. He's referring to the 26/11 terrorists. Come and do something. You don't jump on entire nation. Naive to assume that just because some people came here on attack, every citizen of that nation is to be blamed. I don't believe in this way. So, now this is Sam Pitroda. Then Manishankar Iyer goes, not one word against Pakistani terror. And what does he talk about? Aparajita Sarangi, do you remember what Manishankar Iyer said?
Pranesh, what do you want to say? What do you want to conclude by this?
I'm coming to that. Let the BJP spokesperson come in.
Can I come in?
Please, ma'am.
The response of Congress has amused all of us. I will say we are amused. We are not shocked because they are habitual offenders as far as this particular response is concerned, as far as this particular situation is concerned. They have been behaving in this funny manner always. And this reflects the ideology of the Congress. They always indulge in Pakistan appeasement policy, and I just pray to God that they should put an end to this policy. You know, here is a person, Javed Akhtar, who goes to Lahore and who has the guts, who has the courage to speak out his mind. Now there is nothing called culture or anything else. It is just his nationalism, just his love for the country that has made him speak like this. And I think all the Indians here who are patriotic, who believe in nationalism, would be proud of the fact that Javed Akhtar had...
There is no nationalism, says Vivek Srivastava. Vivek Srivastava, there is no nationalism in exposing Pakistan on terror.
Nonsense, it's all nonsense.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. You
kindly
see,
let me speak. Kindly let
these
me speak
terrorists.
now.
These terrorists. No, 1 minute, Mr. Srivastava. Now 1 minute. Sawal to sun lijiye, sir. What will you answer? Let me ask you a question, Vivek Srivastava.
सर, अरे पहले ये इनको सर आप
सवाल तो सुन लीजिए।
अख्तर का बैकग्राउंड तो मालूम नहीं है ना, शबाना आजमी का बैकग्राउंड मालूम है. He is an atheist. He is a left liberal.
अरे तो भाई atheist nationalist भी तो हो सकता है.
Kafi Azmi lived there in a one room set.
उससे
What do
मतलब
you
क्या
know?
है सर?
हाँ, मुझे तो खुशी है that Rahul Ishwar is willing to touch the feet of a left liberal. And so is Sushil Pandit.
So he should not be. No. If he is willing to, if he is willing to touch his feet, what's the problem?
He doesn't hate Pakistan.
No, but what's the problem if Rahul Ishwar wants to? What is the problem? Tell me one thing. No, 1 minute. Vivek Srivastava, अब ये तो intolerance है सर. Rahul Ishwar can't even touch Javed Akhtar's feet.
I'm so happy. मैं तो बहुत खुश हूँ सर. सारे लेफ्ट लिबरल्स का फीट टच करो, हमसे कुछ सीखो.
अच्छा, वो बोल रहे राहुल ईश्वर, you should touch his feet also. Why just Javed Akhtar?
कल्चरल. अब आप सुनिए सर. नहीं आप तो हर लेफ्ट लिबरल का फीट टच करिए सर. हम तो खुश हैं कि हमारी आइडियोलॉजी को आप एंडोर्स कर रहे हैं.
क्या है आपकी आइडियोलॉजी सर? Abusing India is your ideology?
I am happy.
So what is this ideology that you're talking about?
Visits to Pakistan. It is not abusing. I am happy. So let me speak now. Please let me speak. I am happy you are endorsing cultural visits to Pakistan.
I am only no. 1 minute. You got it wrong again. You're mixing up two things. 1 minute, Vivek Srivastava. I am not allowing this. You're mixing up two things. 1 minute. Javed Akhtar. The reason some people are miffed with Javed Akhtar today. Vivek Srivastava, 1 minute. मैं बोलने देता हूँ. सुन लीजिए. Let me give you the right context. Then you answer. The reason that people the reason, Mr. Srivastava, don't heckle me like this.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
The reason people are miffed with Javed Akhtar. I have great regards for you, sir. I never interrupt. अब सुन तो लीजिए. 30 seconds. The reason people are miffed with Javed Akhtar is because he put India first. वही टाइम है उनका. पाकिस्तान में जाके इमरान को भाईजान नहीं बोला उन्होंने बोल दिया कि आप तो यहां से एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं.
देखिए अब सर मुझे बोलने दीजिए आप. Faiz Ahmad Faiz was a communist in Pindi conspiracy case. He was jailed. Communist Party Pakistan, which sprung out of CPI, was banned and was an underground organization in Pakistan. This is the background of Faiz. And we endorse Faiz, we endorse his poetry, we endorse his culture, and that is why leftist poets like Javed Akhtar...
Who is endorsing communism today? Who is endorsing communism today? You may endorse what you want to. Who is endorsing communism? Sushil Pandit. Who is endorsing communism today?
वो peace लेकर के गए हैं. वो पाकिस्तान को...
Sushil Pandit coming in. Rahul Ishwar, I'm coming to you next. Sushil Pandit now taking on...
Yes.
Srivastava, Mr. Srivastava.
Faiz Ahmad Faiz was a communist. Faiz Ahmad Faiz was an atheist. Faiz Ahmad Faiz was a decent poet. But when he wrote his will that after my death a Maulvi should give me a bath and they should read my Fatiha and I should be given an Islamic burial, that is when I came to know how big an atheist he was and how big a leftist and a communist he was. What a big progressive he was.
He spent his life
बहुत हल्की बात कर दी हमने.
Fighting with the Pakistani authorities
and
for socialism.
And what did he write? What did he write in his will?
Do you know this?
How did he die? He died an Islamist. He died an... Yes. Do you know he supported the creation of Pakistan? Did you know he created a Pakistan? Do you know he supported Muslim League? You supported the creation of Pakistan. You and he together supported the creation of Pakistan. You were in league with Muslim League. You were supporters of Muslim League project in Pakistan.
Absolutely
not.
Absolutely not,
that
sir.
you were supporting the division of India. Partition of India was supported by CPI.
Yes, Savarkar
and Muslim League.
जिसके ऊपर हिंदुवादियों ने काम किया. And Jinnah was his friend.
आप झूठ बोल रहे हैं.
That what you are talking of happened when there was no option left. मैं कोई झूठ नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. ये सावरकर की 2 नेशन थ्योरी तो जिन्ना को गिफ्ट की गई थी 1930s में. बोलिए आप उसके बारे में और कंडेम करिए सावरकर को यहाँ.
अरे पाकिस्तान को कंडेम जो कर रहा है उससे आपको प्रॉब्लम है. Now you are back to सावरकर. You make up your mind. Who do you want to condemn? Vivek Srivastava. Who do you want to condemn? Okay. Now if I'll make it easier for you. If you had to give 2 names that you want to condemn.
Pranesh.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Pandit, make your point.
Gangadhar Adhikari. Tell him, does he know Gangadhar Adhikari? Does he know Gangadhar Adhikari? Does he know about Adhikari thesis? Don't you know that he supported division of India?
I know, yes, I know.
Then how? Then
that is a different issue.
Why are you lying?
But it was the Savarkar who coined this theory, gave it to Jinnah.
It is not a different issue. It is not a different issue.
And Savarkar was convinced that these 2 religions and these 2 cultures cannot stay together.
Okay,
and Jinnah forgot
now, Mr. Vivek Srivastava, every time you don't have an answer, you go back to Savarkar. That's all that you do. Vivek Srivastava, every time you don't have an answer, you go back to Savarkar. Rahul Ishwar.
All I'm saying is,
what kind of politics do we have if we cannot openly support Javed Akhtar? Javed Akhtar said something very relevant.
No, that's not the point, Rahul Ishwar. No, you're catching the wrong end of the stick. Don't support Javed Akhtar. Support what he said, what he's done. Support, support his stand of putting India first. That's the point, like Sushil Pandit said. Like Sushil Pandit said at the outset that we don't always agree with what Javed Akhtar says. But here he is, ambassador of India, has gone there and has put India first.
We have to condemn Jaishankar.
I said that openly in the beginning itself, that I don't completely support Javed Akhtar all the time.
Mr. Jindal.
Can I come in?
Of course, please.
There are many issues on which I differ.
Ganesh, when we are talking about culture...
We are not talking about culture. We are not. We are talking about Pak terror.
The Fairs Festival for which Javed Akhtar had gone, that deals with culture. Now he is not acting in the capacity of that of ambassador. What has happened is presently the government's dispensation...
Now let's not get into who's acting as per what capacity, because then the... Then Aparajita Sarangi will ask you about the Chinese MOU and then this debate will get derailed. I don't want to, I don't want to go there. Now, Mr. Jindal, now 1 minute. You're talking about culture. Okay, let's talk about culture for a minute. I'll tell you. Here are some numbers and names. I have a list of names banned by Pakistan when UPA was in power. Ranjana in 2013, Bhag Milkha Bhag in 2013, Dirty Picture in 2011. Chalo, you hear the name Dirty Picture, they must have thought napak hai ye, anti-Islam, all that. That's okay. Chalo. Ekta Tiger bhi ban kar diya. Ye cultural ties, anyone?
See, what is happening is, Pranesh, you are getting it completely wrong. See, India and Pakistan didn't exist when the cultural ties were there between these 2 regions. Cultural ties...
India always existed. No, 1 minute. India always existed. Pakistan did not exist. Kya bol rahe, Mr. Jindal?
Exactly. What I'm saying, so what is Pakistan now was...
No, how did India not exist? What are you saying? Mr. Jindal.
When he went for the
Mr. Pandit. Now, what do I tell someone who says India did not exist then? India always existed.
Thousands of years.
That time Bharat existed, not India.
तो ठीक है, भारत existed.
Not India.
तो आप नाम ही रख देते सर.
अरे तो भारत हमने तो रखा ही नाम है ना.
तो फिर तो इंडिया से क्या प्रॉब्लम? इंडिया मतलब क्या? यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स. यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स. मिस्टर पंडित, मिस्टर जिंदल, अब आप फंस गए. आपने जो लाइन पकड़ी, अब आप उसमें फंस गए. अब आपको समझ नहीं आ रहा मैं निकलूं कहां से. अब आप सुशील पंडित आपको बताएंगे अगर कुछ गुंजाइश है कि नहीं. मिस्टर पंडित.
Sir, they are confused about not only our nationhood, not only... Where is he chirping up? Javed Akhtar went in whichever capacity, did whatever. We are only isolating this specific comment of his for commending him. That's it. We are not endorsing his entire politics. We are not endorsing all his stands on all the issues. You can. You don't have to be brain dead and blind. You have to believe. You have to behave rationally.
Of the present dispensation.
You have to.
I endorse friendship with Pakistan. I endorse talks with Pakistan. I endorse peace.
No, at what cost? Vivek Srivastava, at what cost do you endorse all this? At the cost of our people?
Mind communism.
At the cost of our people, sir?
Mind communism.
At the cost of their blood?
That is pig-headed communism.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What has Pakistan done to all your overtures? What has Pakistan, Vivek Srivastava, do not live in denial.
Pig-headed communism.
Yes.
Will you go and say this to the families of our martyrs, people who made the supreme sacrifice?
Great.
No, you want peace with Pakistan.
Fine. Do you
but Pakistan is not ready. No, Pakistan, Mr. Srivastava.
No,
Pakistan is not ready to give up terror. Pakistan, Mr. Srivastava, is not ready to give up terror.
Listen to me now. Do you endorse, sir? Do you endorse what Manishankar Iyer did in Pakistan? Do you endorse that?
Yes or no?
I endorse that.
Do you endorse what Manishankar Iyer did?
I endorse.
You endorse what Manishankar Iyer did?
What wrong did
Going to Pakistan, what wrong? There you go, Aparajita Sarangi. What wrong did Manishankar Iyer do when he said that let's... No, he went to Pakistan, he made an appeal. Let's all unite to remove Modi. What wrong did he do, Aparajita Sarangi?
In 2015, let me speak. In 2015, not only Manishankar Iyer, but also Salman Khurshid had gone to Pakistan. And they were candid enough to tell Pakistani people that they wanted to dislodge Mr. Modi in India because that was the only way by which we would be having good relationship with Pakistan.
So the only way, there is only one way that Pakistan knows to dislodge governments. And that way, and that way is well to known to the world. A military coup, the part deep state takes over, comes to the forefront. Don't laugh about Mr. Jindal. ये तो documented history है sir. ये मैं गलत नहीं बोल रहा हूँ ये.
We have been helping Turkey. We have been helping Afghanistan.
तो आप तो intolerance बोल रहे थे इंडिया में. Now that we are helping Turkey.
Turkey was totally against us.
Exactly.
But we helped. Yes.
But that's the Indian culture. No, that's the Indian culture. But that is the Indian culture. This is the right culture. This is the right culture.
It's good.
The culture that you are endorsing.
I stand by it. It's good.
Culture that you are endorsing, unfortunately, is what PAK stands for. That is of exporting terror to bleed innocents.
Indian culture is not what the present government is endorsing.
Then all of you, all the leaders of the Congress party,
all the governments must
now 1 minute, Mr. Jindal, I don't want to bring in Pulwama here because we don't have time. There are people in the Congress who said this was homegrown terror. You know who are these people? You know the names of these people. If you don't know, I'll send you a WhatsApp.
No, we still don't know who are the accused. We still don't know who are the accused.
Of course, the charge sheet has been filed, Vivek Srivastava. आप पढ़ते नहीं है सर, charge sheet file हो गई है सर, उसमें पूरा डिटेल है.
Charge sheet क्या होगा? कितने साल हो गए साहब?
Charge sheet क्या होगा? वही तो प्रॉब्लम है. कितने साल क्या हो गए?
थोड़े समय के बाद. काफी.
तो ये हाफिज सईद कहाँ है? हाफिज सईद कहाँ रहता है सर?
How many years sir?
हाफिज सईद कहाँ रहता है?
लटकाए जाओ उसको पुलवामा.
नहीं, हाफिज सईद कहाँ रहता है? बताइए.
No, that is okay.
No, that is okay.
That doesn't mean
that is okay.
And you don't talk to nations.
And you want peace with Pakistan. Why don't you pick up the phone? No. Why don't you pick up the phone? Call your friend in Pakistan. Ask him to hand over Hafiz Saeed.
I want peace world over.
No, try that. Pick up your phone. अब आप किसी फोन अपने दोस्त को फोन कर लीजिए. आप अपने दोस्त को फोन करके बोलिए. Let's do that on live television. Why don't you pick up your mobile phone? Dial your friend in Pakistan because you have such great relations with people there. Tell him that why did you do this to India? Why did Pakistan send terrorists to attack Taj Hotel?
No, why don't you?
No, let's do that. Your friend will disconnect the call. That is the Pakistani culture. The sooner you realize it, the better it is for our country. I have run out of time. I have run out of time. Just like some of our guests have run out of logic and argument. I thank all of you. Ms. Sarangi, Rahul Ishwar, Sushil Pandit, Vivek Bansal, Vivek Srivastav, Lokesh Jindal. Thank you for joining us. Akhtar versus Pak Premis is our hashtag. Use that to engage with us. We are moving on. Now, in a gut-wrenching incident that happened in Hyderabad, a child was mauled, mutilated to death by street dogs, and the entire incident has been captured on CCTV. In the video that's on your screen, the child is seen walking down a street when 3 dogs run at him, attack him, manage to pin him down. The young child sustained injuries to his stomach and could not make it. This is not the first time, however, a child has been attacked by stray dogs in this fashion. Similar shocking incidents have been reported from Noida, Mumbai, Lucknow and other places. The victim has been identified as a 5-year-old. His name was Pradeep, a resident of Hyderabad's Bak Ambarpet. The attack took place outside an automobile workshop where the child's father was working as a watchman. Pradeep's body has been shifted to his native village. But this clip that has now gone viral has triggered a massive debate on the stray dog menace. Let's quickly open this up. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, chairperson of the Nephron, political commentator, Radhika Suryavanshi, campaign manager of PETA India, Ambika Shukla, trustee People for Animals. Now, Ambika Shukla, I want to begin by asking you, now, like I said, this is not an isolated case. This has happened in the past. What do we do about this?
It's not a very common instance because incidents are clubbed together. They tend to seem more common than they are. Actually, these are very rare instances because this is not something that generally happens. Firstly, we do not have dogs. It is not to be seen as an attack. When a child runs, there are very small safety measures that need to be taught. It's funny how we live in an environment where we learn to deal with equipment, we learn to deal with cars, we learn to deal with machinery. Yet we never learn about the animals we share our lives with. There is very little education, very little awareness. The very first safety measure for anybody to learn is do not run when you see a dog approaching. A dog does not approach with any ill intent. He's simply coming to see who you are and what you're doing here, because dogs are natural chowkidars. So if you allow a dog to come, sniff you, he'll go along his way. That's all he wants to do. So in the olden days, there was a kahavat, a very famous kahavat, which says, Ped ban jao. When a dog approaches, simply stand still. Allow him to sniff you and go away. That's all he does. But if you run, dogs tend to see anything that's running as a game. They will chase. And then if you're small, like this little boy was, you can fall. And once you've fallen, then dogs, it becomes a game between themselves like taking a ball or taking something. So, it is not to be seen as an attack. It's simply to be seen as an extremely unfortunate tragedy that did happen, and we can learn from it. We need to go ahead from it. We need to learn from it. We need to learn a lot of lessons. The sterilization program.
We can learn our lessons. Ambika Shukla, you see, all what you've said is, very well. We can learn our lessons, but the people who are dead are not coming back. And we have opened our calling lines. We want to hear from our viewers also. Abba Singh also joins the panel now. Needs no introduction. Abba Singh, I'm coming to you. Let me bring in a viewer, Krishna, who's on the line from Hyderabad. Sir, good evening. You're on Times Now. Please go ahead.
Are you asking me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I tell you what, this is so ghastly that the CCTV footage shows as if this is a victim that has occurred in a jungle where the prey has been attacked by animals. So therefore, I have a feeling that are we living in a civic environment or in a jungle? I have a feeling that some heads have to roll on this, and then some drastic reactions have to happen.
Completely understand your sentiment, sir. Thank you for connecting. Bhagwan is now joining us from Hyderabad, sir. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good evening. You're on Times now. Please go ahead.
I'm from Bhagwan from Bangalore.
Yes, sir.
This lady is talking about the dog. You have to don't run away from the dog, etc., etc. Tomorrow it happens to her daughter or son. Who's going to handle the situation? Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. Yes.
It's a safety measure. It is not.
Yeah. Quick point. Ambika Shukla, do you want to take that?
Yes, yes, when I say don't run, it's for your own safety, because when you run, dogs instinctively chase. For them, it is a game. It is not to be seen as an attack, but as a game that, that can have tragic consequences, which is
people
why
don't
it
plan
is
and run. I mean, this is out of fear. Abba saying, what do we do about this?
In schools. Absolutely, and that fear has to be countered through awareness and through education. What we need is clubs in schools to teach us about the animals.
Is that the right approach, Abba Singh?
When we learn about their behavior, we don't.
See, the issue is not if the dog is ferocious, you need to remove it from the residential areas. If it is biting again and again, in fact, Supreme Court has also said that municipal corporations must take notice of these dogs that are ferocious. So just because animal lovers come and say, no, they have territorial rights and they must live in the area where they live, I think that is too bizarre when we are losing innocent lives. A child will not know when to run and when to stop. How can this logic be used on a child?
Dr. Bagai, how do you see this? What do we do?
Like we teach them about traffic rules. We teach them about traffic rules.
Good evening, Pranesh. So I don't agree with the first panelist who's animal rights activist. Talking just scientifically, this is not a rare event. This is not a one-off case or an isolated case. We see more than 30 to 60% of the world's stray dog bite cases in India. More than 30% of the world's rabies caseload is in India. We are losing more than 20,000 lives and more than 24 lakh cases of dog bites as stray dog bites in India annually. Now, a child who's an infant or a toddler knows little better than to run. You can't expect a small infant as 1 year or a 2-year-old to be standing still and the dog is coming just to sniff or to play. Now, the fact actually here is that we need to put accountability and liability. One is at a corporate level. I think the stray dogs need to be rounded up. They need a safe house. They need animal homes, shelter homes to house them, but they can't run amok. Point number 2 is the residents who on good faith are feeding these stray dogs are actually encouraging these dogs to come into societies, colonies and residential areas, which is fraught with danger. This is a preventable curse. Let me say it again.
Right.
This is an abandoned issue.
Just hold your thoughts.
Yes,
more
we need
viewers
awareness
on the line patiently waiting. Let's hear from them. Please, let me bring in Mr. Bharadwaj, who's joining us from Mumbai. Sir, good evening.
Good evening. Able to hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
I am spot on. I agree with what the doctor said. These people who feed stray dogs actually encourage dog bites. People like animal activists should be held accountable. Police complaints should be filed against them by the parents of the children who have died. If this happens to the animal lovers' children, if a dog bites their children or grandchildren to death, will they react in such a philosophical manner?
Now, Ms.
They should be ashamed of themselves. Human life is more important than animal life.
Point noted, sir. Radhika Suryavanshi, what would you say to someone who's saying this?
Okay, so let me first clarify that the incident that has happened is very sad and tragic. It should not happen to anybody, especially a child. I've watched the video. So, the only way to tackle this, the only solution to this is having an effective sterilization program, an ABC program in that area. This is happening majorly because of the dog overpopulation crisis. A lot of times because, dogs are territorial in nature for food or for territory, they end up fighting amongst each other, and then an incident of such type might happen, where a human gets caught in the middle of it. So the only scientific method to dealing with this situation is to make sure that the animals in your area are sterilized, and animals that are picked up for sterilization are also vaccinated, so that is even safer. So as society, the incident that has happened cannot be reversed. I agree, and our condolences to the family that has gone through this. But to make sure that this does not happen again, that this incident
this
does
keeps
not ever
happening
repeat.
again and again. And let me bring in our viewer Prabhu, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Sir, good evening.
Good evening, Times Now. See, I am watching this program from last half an hour. But the scene, what we see about the kid being attacked, it's so touching. I'm not able to digest this. The only problem, what I feel, pets has to be kept in their limits. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, loud and clear, sir. Go ahead.
So now we have lost a life. We lost a life. And he doesn't know what he was doing. So we can't educate kids at that age not to run if a dog comes to you. But I sincerely, I'm very depressed seeing this slide.
So are we, sir, gut-wrenching visuals. Like you said, this life is not coming back again. We don't have much time on the show. That last word on the show goes to Abha Singh. Abha Singh, sum this up for us. Abha Singh, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you just say again?
You have the last word on the show, ma'am. What do we do?
The issue here is this dog matter is there in Bombay High Court, Kerala High Court, Supreme Court is also seized of it. But the issue here is we have to show compassion for dogs. Everybody talks of fundamental duties that you have to show compassion. But my issue is that you have to have guidelines so that they do not come into residential areas, gated communities. You give them food in particular areas. Don't let them come into areas, parks where children play. So that has to be taken care of. Supreme Court has also and High Courts have time and again said that dogs that are ferocious, that are causing a nuisance, that need to be looked into. So I think shelter homes are the place for them, not residential areas. And all these NGOs that promote dogs, like maybe the PCA people or the AWBI people who come and don't listen to reason, it's time they should also listen to reason, and there should be a consensus on how this menace has to be tackled. We cannot lose our young children to such barbaric deaths.
Well said. That's all the time we had. Dr. Bagai, Radhika Suryavanshi, Abha Singh, Amrita Shukla. Thanks for joining us on this very sensitive and disturbing topic that we discussed. That's all we could pack in, viewers. Thanks for watching.
चीजों पे जैसे प्रोडक्ट स्ट्रैटेजी पे भी ध्यान देना होगा, जिसके लिए वर्कफोर्स बढ़ानी पड़ेगी. Number 2, tech is the future. There's no doubt about that. So companies will need to invest in new technologies, जिसके लिए again they'll need to rehire. And number 3, इंडिया यहाँ पे बेटर प्लेस्ड है. वाई? बिकॉज टेक कंपनीज यूएस में एम्प्लॉयज को हाई सैलरीज देती हैं टू द ट्यून ऑफ $200,000 और वहाँ पे मोस्टली इंडियंस काम करते हैं. और वहाँ पे और भी एक्सपेंसेस हैं फॉर कंपनीज लाइक इंश्योरेंस, पर्क्स. ऊपर से बे एरिया इज वन ऑफ द कॉस्टलीस्ट एरियाज. तो उसकी जगह अगर काम इंडिया में आउटसोर्स कर देंगे तो उनके लिए भी कॉस्ट कम होगी. सो बिग टेक बिग तो बहुत हो गया है, बट अब चैलेंज होगा उसके पास ग्रोथ वर्सेस प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी के ऊपर फोकस रखना. एंड गाइस, दीज फायरिंग्स कैन बी कंसिडर्ड जस्ट अ ब्लिप, बट ओवरऑल कोर्स जो है वो काफी लंबा होगा, बिकॉज रिमेंबर टेक इज द फ्यूचर. सो लेट मी नो व्हाट यू थिंक ऑफ दिस स्टोरी. फॉर एवरीथिंग ऑन टेक, कीप फॉलोइंग गैजेट टाइम्स, पावर्ड बाय टाइम्स नाउ.
हेलो एवरीवन, स्वागत है आप सभी का टाइम्स ड्राइव के इस वीडियो में. मैं हूं अंकुर तनेजा और मेरे बगल में खड़ी है शकोडा कुशाक का एनिवर्सरी एडिशन. टाइगुन के एनिवर्सरी एडिशन के बाद अब कुशाक का भी एनिवर्सरी एडिशन आ गया है. चेंजेस क्या हैं उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं इस वीडियो में। तो सबसे पहला जो चेंज फ्रंट में देखने को मिलेगा, इसमें ग्रिल में क्रोम का एलिमेंट यहां पर ऐड करा गया है। तो ये एक नया एलिमेंट यहां पर इस कुशाक के एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में देखने को मिल रहा है। फ्रंट में इसके अलावा हेडलाइट्स, बम्पर का डिज़ाइन सब कुछ पहले जैसा है, कोई बदलाव वहाँ पर देखने को नहीं मिल रहा है। देन साइड में आए तो यहाँ पर भी कॉस्मेटिक बदलाव हुए हैं, जैसे कि ये डोर में यहाँ वाइजर दिया गया है, इधर ये डोर प्रोटेक्टर्स दिए गए हैं, नीचे भी इधर क्रोम का एलिमेंट यहाँ पर इसमें इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में ऐड करा गया है। एंड पीछे की तरफ आएँ तो यहाँ पर ये एनिवर्सरी एडिशन के डीकैल्स इधर इस सी पिलर में यहाँ पे कुशाक के इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में देखने को मिल रहे हैं। सो एक्सटीरियर की बात करें तो चेंज
Accused in the alleged Bhiwani murder case share close ties with Haryana police. They are known to be working with them as police informers and suspected cattle smugglers. Meanwhile, Rajasthan police spills the beans on CCTV, says victims were thrashed badly and taken to Haryana police station. Former Chief Minister and Congress leader Bhupinder Singh Hooda demands a thorough probe into the twin murder case. A Mahapanchayat held in Haryana's Manesar in support of accused Monu Manesar. Hundreds of youth to hold march in his support in Gurugram. Lashkar offshoot TRF issues open threat letter against a global Kashmiri Pandit conclave.
Just in terms of exterior, ये कुछ यहाँ पर करे गए हैं। इंटीरियर की बात करें तो वहाँ पर जो चेंज हुआ है, तो पहला चेंज हुआ है स्टीयरिंग जो है इसका, वहाँ पर इसमें एनिवर्सरी एडिशन की बैजिंग दी गई है, तो वो एक बदलाव इसमें देखने को मिलेगा। एंड इसमें जो है स्क्रीन जो है 10 इंच का दिया गया है, जबकि नॉर्मल कुशाक में 8 इंच का स्क्रीन देखने को मिलता है। मॉन्टी कार्लो जो एडिशन है उसमें 10 इंच का है, अब इसमें भी 10 इंच का स्क्रीन देखने को मिलता है। देन पिलोज जो है इसमें ये पिलोज दिए गए हैं फ्रंट पैसेंजर और रियर पैसेंजर्स के लिए। एंड जो इसके मैट हैं वो भी अब 3D मैट इसमें अब कुशाक में एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में स्कोडा के साथ दे रही है। एंड फाइनल चेंज जो हुआ है वो है इसका ये की कवर जो देख रहे हैं, ये लेदर टाइप ये कवर इसमें दिया गया है की के साथ, जो इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन के साथ स्कोडा इसमें दे रही है। बात करूं ऑप्शंस की, इंजन ऑप्शंस की, तो 1 लीटर और 1.5 लीटर दोनों में ही अवेलेबल होने वाली है। टॉप वेरिएंट्स में मैनुअल और ऑटोमेटिक दोनों में ये ऑप्शन एनिवर्सरी एडिशन का स्कोडा दे रही है। प्राइस की बात करें तो तकरीबन 30,000 प्राइस नॉर्मल कुशाक के मुकाबले इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन का बदल गया है। 30,000 आपको एक्स्ट्रा नॉर्मल कुशाक के मुकाबले इसके लिए पे करने पड़ेंगे। तो ये हैं कुछ बदलाव इस स्कोडा कुशाक एनिवर्सरी एडिशन को लेकर। कैसे लगे आपको, चेंजेस रिक्वायर्ड थे या नहीं थे, कमेंट सेक्शन में बताइएगा। वीडियो अच्छा लगा है तो लाइक, शेयर और टाइम्स ड्राइव को फॉलो करना मत भूलिएगा।
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Jaishankar.
Hello everyone, welcome to Times.
It says Pakistan and its proxies want to stop the conclave because it is scared of the truth. Separatist leader Amritpal Singh spews venom, says ready to get martyred for Khalistani cause. Booked for kidnapping and rioting, Singh still remains a free man. The Waris Punjab, their chief, says that as former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi tried to stop them and failed, Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Shah will also fail. Supreme Court to hear Uddhav's plea challenging EC's decision to grant Sena symbol to Shinde on Wednesday. IAS versus IPS row escalates in Karnataka. Government transfers IPS officer D. Rupa and IAS officer Rohini Sindhuri without a posting.
तनेज और मैं मौजूद हूं टोयोटा की नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस के अनवेलमेंट पर। तो टोयोटा की फाइनली ये हाई क्रॉस देखने को मिल रही है, जो कि हाइब्रिड अवतार में टोयोटा लेकर आई है। इनोवा का ही हाइब्रिड अवतार कह सकते हैं। बहुत से बदलाव लेकिन क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में देखने को मिलते हैं। तो क्या है वो चेंजेस इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन, इन टर्म्स ऑफ फीचर्स एंड ऑल्सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंजन ऑप्शंस, उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूँ इस वीडियो में। सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन बात करें तो सबसे पहले यहाँ पे एक नया बड़ा ग्रिल जो क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रहा है इस हाई क्रॉस में, तो ये एक नया फेस यहाँ पर इसमें दिया गया है एंड क्रोम का सराउंडिंग्स थ्रू आउट यहाँ देखने को मिल रहा है इसके साइड में। एंड जो हेडलैम्प्स हैं वो LED हैं और पहले से थोड़े स्लीक भी यहाँ देखने को मिल रहे हैं एंड ड्यूल फंक्शन इसमें DRL और इंडिकेटर यहाँ सेम लाइट में LED लाइट में देखने को मिलेगा। एंड नीचे देखेंगे तो ब्लैक और वाइट का कॉम्बिनेशन देखने को मिल रहा है। सेंसर्स थ्रू आउट हैं, 360 डिग्री कैमरा इसमें दिया गया है, फ्रंट में आप इसको देख सकते हैं। साइड प्रोफाइल की बात करें तो व्हील्स हैं इसमें जो 18 इंच के दिए गए हैं एंड क्लैडिंग थ्रू आउट यहाँ पे इसमें देखने को मिल रही है। इसके अलावा जो डायमेंशंस हैं वो भी क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले बदली हुई इसकी देखने को मिलती हैं। ये चौड़ाई में ज़्यादा है, लंबाई में क्रिस्टा ज़्यादा है, व्हील बेस इसका इनोवा क्रिस्टा से ज़्यादा देखने को मिलता है, तो ऑब्वियसली अंदर स्पेस भी क्रिस्टा से ज़्यादा इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में देखने को मिलने वाला है। एंड टर्न इंडिकेटर्स यहाँ इसके साइड मिरर्स में इंटीग्रेटेड है एंड हाइब्रिड की बड़ी सी बैजिंग यहाँ दी गई है। 360 डिग्री कैमरा है तो यहाँ पर भी इसके मिरर के नीचे और भी हमसे कैमरा देखने को मिल रहा है। जो डोर हैंडल्स हैं वो बॉडी कलर और क्रोम के कॉम्बिनेशन के साथ यहाँ देखने को मिल रहे हैं एंड रूफ रेल यहाँ पर इसमें देखने को नहीं मिल रही, हालांकि इसमें पैनोरामिक सनरूफ दी गई है, अंदर से मैं दिखाऊंगा। एंड यहाँ पर पीछे जाते हुए इसकी दो क्रीजेस दिखेंगी जो इसकी टेल लाइट से जुड़ती हैं एंड रैप अराउंड LED टेल लाइट्स यहाँ पर इस इनोवा की नई हाई क्रॉस में देखने को मिल रही हैं। ZX वेरिएंट खड़ा है हाइब्रिड वाला जो कि इसका टॉप वेरिएंट है, एक ऑप्शनल का भी इसमें वेरिएंट टोयोटा ऑफर कर रही है इस इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में। सेंसर्स थ्रू आउट यहाँ देखने को मिल रहे हैं एंड ब्लैक एलिमेंट का इस्तेमाल इसके बम्पर में यहाँ भी करा गया है एंड पियानो ब्लैक एलिमेंट इसके इस स्पॉइलर में इधर देखने को मिल रहा है जो कि बॉडी कलर और ब्लैक के कॉम्बिनेशन में यहाँ पे इसमें दिया गया है। एक नया एडिशनल फीचर जो इसमें अब मिल रहा है, सो नाउ दिस न्यू इनोवा हाई क्रॉस कम्स विद एन इलेक्ट्रिक टेल गेट जो कि सेगमेंट फर्स्ट फीचर यहाँ पर इसमें देखने को मिलता है। एंड कुछ इस तरह से तीनों रो अगर आप हैं तो इतना स्पेस, एग्जैक्ट नंबर टोयोटा ने अभी बताया नहीं है बट डिसेंट स्पेस है, बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं कहूँगा बट यहाँ पे कुछ इस तरह स्पेस देखने को मिलता है। थोड़ा बहुत सामान यहाँ पे भी रख सकते हैं। ये कुछ मामला है इसकी बूट स्पेस और इस इलेक्ट्रिक टेल गेट का। सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ डायमेंशंस यस बदली है पहले से क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले। डायमेंशंस में ये ज़्यादा वाइडर है, ज़्यादा लॉन्गर है, व्हील बेस ज़्यादा है, हाइट ऑलमोस्ट दोनों की सेम है बट कुछ ये इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन यहाँ पर बदलाव देखने को मिलते हैं। नाउ लेट्स गो इनसाइड एंड फीचर्स का मामला कैसा है, लेट्स गो एंड चेक दैट आउट। नाउ लेट्स सिट इनसाइड और अंदर फीचर्स का मामला क्या है यहाँ पे देखते हैं। पावर्ड सीट्स यहाँ देखने को मिल रही हैं एंड आई थिंक यहाँ पे भी इसमें नहीं, इसमें मैनुअल दिया गया है लेफ्ट साइड में एंड गियर बॉक्स यहाँ पे अब इसका डैशबोर्ड वाले कंसोल में ही देखने को मिल रहा है जो पहले यहाँ पे यानी पहले क्या अभी भी क्रिस्टा में जो देखने को मिलता है सेंटर में। इसके अलावा ये चार्जिंग पॉइंट्स दिए गए हैं, USB-C USB-A चार्जिंग पॉइंट है एंड यहाँ पे PRND एंड एक्सपोज मोड भी इसमें दिया गया है। EV मोड का अलग से फिजिकल बटन है, ट्रैक्शन ऑन ऑफ, ड्राइव मोड चेंज करने का ऑप्शन दिया गया है। यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पार्किंग ब्रेक, 360 व्यू कैमरा का एक अलग से बटन दिया गया है, फिजिकल बटन, AC कंट्रोल्स देखने को मिल रहे हैं एंड यहाँ पर इसका ये 10.1 इंच का इंफोटेनमेंट सिस्टम टच स्क्रीन देखने को मिल रहा है जो कि JBL का है। स्पीकर्स भी अब इसमें JBL के इनोवा के साथ हाई क्रॉस के साथ देखने को मिलते हैं। देन फिजिकल बटन अलग से वॉल्यूम वगैरह पावर के यहाँ पे नीचे देखने को मिल रहे हैं। इसके अलावा जो इंटीरियर क्वालिटी में बात करूँ, यहाँ पर जो है प्लास्टिक है, लेदर का स्टिच थोड़ा बहुत इस्तेमाल करा गया है थोड़ा प्रीमियम फील देने के लिए। यहाँ पे एक 12 वोल्ट का सॉकेट देखने को मिल रहा है, कुछ सामान रखने की जगह भी है यहाँ पे एंड ये इसका कुछ ग्लव बॉक्स इस तरह से देखने को मिलता है एंड स्पेस के हिसाब से मामला ठीक ठाक यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रहा है। ऑब्वियसली गाड़ी क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले लंबी है, व्हील बेस ज़्यादा है एंड यहाँ पर आए स्टीयरिंग पर तो राउंड स्टीयरिंग है, लेफ्ट साइड में इंफोटेनमेंट सिस्टम कंट्रोल करने की बटन्स, वॉइस कमांड, वॉल्यूम कंट्रोल्स, ट्रैक आगे पीछे करने एंड कॉल कनेक्ट डिस्कनेक्ट का ऑप्शन दिया गया है। क्रूज कंट्रोल यहाँ देखने को मिल रहा है, लेन असिस्ट यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है एंड इसके अलावा टोयोटा इसमें ब्लाइंड स्पॉट मॉनिटरिंग यहाँ पे ORVM में ये भी देखने को मिल रहा है। तो सेफ्टी फीचर्स भी पहले से ज़्यादा जो इनोवा क्रिस्टा में देखने को मिलते थे अब इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में टोयोटा ने देने की कोशिश करी है। देन मोड भी यहाँ चेंज कर सकते हैं। देन डोर्स पे आए तो यहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली पावर विंडो कंट्रोल्स दिए गए हैं एंड यहाँ पे सीट के लिए मेमोरी सेटिंग्स भी दी गई हैं, 2 मेमोरी सेटिंग्स यहाँ देखने को मिल रही हैं एंड क्रोम का इस्तेमाल डोर हैंडल्स में एंड सिल्वर फिनिश यहाँ पे थोड़ी बहुत देखने को मिल रही है। डोर्स में भी लेदर टच यहाँ पे देने की कोशिश की है। हार्ड प्लास्टिक का इस्तेमाल करा गया है। क्वालिटी में कहूँगा बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छी नहीं है। आई थिंक जिस प्राइस पॉइंट पे ये आएगी मे बी शायद आप थोड़े निराश हों बट थोड़ा प्रीमियमनेस यहाँ पे इन टर्म्स ऑफ लेदर स्टिच टोयोटा ने यहाँ पे इसकी फ्रंट रो में देने की कोशिश ज़रूर करी है। आर्मरेस्ट की बात करें तो सामान रखने की जगह अच्छी खासी है एंड यहाँ पे भी ये लेदर स्टिच दिया गया है। अब फ्रंट सीट जो है इसकी वेंटिलेटेड आती हैं, दोनों पैसेंजर और ड्राइवर जो सीट्स हैं वो इसमें अब टोयोटा वेंटिलेटेड सीट्स ऑफर कर रहा है इस इनोवा हाई क्रॉस के अंदर। कप होल्डर्स 2 यहाँ देखने को मिलते हैं एंड बॉटल होल्डर्स भी फ्रंट डोर्स में यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहे हैं। सामान रखने की अच्छी जगह 2 पॉकेट्स में भी इधर देखने को मिल रही है। एंड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इनोवा के अंदर इस हाई क्रॉस में पैनोरामिक सनरूफ देखने को मिल रहा है। सनरूफ पहले होता ही नहीं था, बट अब जो दिया है वो पैनोरामिक सनरूफ यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है। चलते हैं पीछे सेकंड रो में, स्पेस वहाँ कैसा है, लेट्स गो एंड चेक दैट आउट। एंड यहाँ पे मामला हो जाता है सेकंड रो में थोड़ा एग्जीक्यूटिव क्लास वाला, और पहले से ज़्यादा यहाँ पे स्पेस देखने को मिल रहा है। लेग रूम, थाई सपोर्ट, हेड रूम एम्पल सेकंड रो पैसेंजर्स की देखने को मिल रहा है। एंड क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल की बात करूँ तो यहाँ पर सेकंड रो के लिए अलग से क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल एडजस्टमेंट का ऑप्शन दिया गया है। फ्रंट रो में टेम्परेचर के हिसाब से आप अलग रख सकते हैं, सेकंड रो में टेम्परेचर सेटिंग्स अलग रखी जा सकती है, तो ये ऑप्शन भी यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है। एसी कंट्रोल्स, यहाँ पे छोटा डिस्प्ले दिया गया है, 2 USB-C चार्जिंग पॉइंट देखने को मिल रहे हैं। एंड ये जो सीट्स हैं पूरा एग्जीक्यूटिव क्लास वाला मामला जो मैं कह रहा हूँ यहाँ पर इनके साथ हो जाता है कुछ इस तरह से। यू कैन रिक्लाइन द सीट एंड ये पूरी पीछे तक चली जाएगी, जैसे ऑलरेडी बगल वाली सीट आप देख सकते हैं। सो काफ़ी ज़्यादा एंगल रिक्लाइन इसका करा जा सकता है। एंड देयर इज ऑल्सो अनदर ऑप्शन जो कि यहाँ पे सपोर्ट के लिए दिया गया है। तो कुछ मामला इस तरह से टोयोटा ने इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में इन टर्म्स ऑफ लग्जरी, इन टर्म्स ऑफ कंफर्ट यहाँ पर इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में देने की कोशिश करी है। इसके अलावा बात करें बेस्ट ऑफ कोर्स पैनोरामिक सनरूफ का नज़ारा यहाँ से बेहतर ऑफ कोर्स देखने को मिल रहा है। चलते हैं थर्ड रो में, स्पेस वहाँ कैसा है। सो टोयोटा इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस को 7 सीटर और 8 सीटर वाले वेरिएंट्स के साथ ऑफर करने वाला है। एंड थर्ड रो स्पेस कुछ इस तरह से आप एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं। इन केस आगे कोई बैठा है तो ज़्यादा स्पेस मुझे लगता है नहीं बन पाएगा, स्पेशली इन टर्म्स ऑफ थाई सपोर्ट। आई डोंट फील ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल यहाँ पे, बट अदरवाइज स्पेस के हिसाब से मुझे ये सीट इस थर्ड रो में जो स्पेस है वो ठीक ठाक देखने को मिल रहा है। नी रूम ठीक ठाक है एंड हेड रूम इज़ ऑल्सो गुड, बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट थाई सपोर्ट इज स्लाइटली could have been slightly better. And also you can see the adjustable headrest यहाँ पे इसके थर्ड रो पैसेंजर्स के लिए भी इधर दिए गए हैं। ओवरऑल मामला ठीक ठाक लग रहा है। एंड देयर आर कप होल्डर्स, 1 USB 12 वोल्ट सॉकेट फॉर चार्जिंग एंड देयर आर AC वेंट्स यहाँ पे इसके साइड में दिए गए हैं रूफ में ही। ये कुछ मामला यहाँ पे इसकी थर्ड रो में टोयोटा इनोवा की नई हाई क्रॉस में देखने को मिल रहा है। अब बात करते हैं इंजन ऑप्शंस, वेरिएंट्स, क्या टोयोटा इस हाई क्रॉस में ऑफर कर रही है। सो ये जो है टोयोटा इनोवा की नई हाई क्रॉस जो है 5 वेरिएंट में अवेलेबल होने वाली है। 2 वेरिएंट जो होंगे पेट्रोल के होंगे और 3 वेरिएंट इसके हाइब्रिड वाले होने वाले हैं इस नई हाई क्रॉस के अंदर। प्राइस जो है वो भी फिलहाल अनाउंस नहीं करा गया है एंड इसकी जो बुकिंग्स हैं वो स्टार्ट हो चुकी हैं। 50,000 का अमाउंट देकर आप इस हाई क्रॉस का बुक अभी फ़िलहाल आज से ही कर सकते हैं। एंड इसका जो है लॉन्च है वो भी बहुत जल्द, महीने 1.5 महीने के अंदर टोयोटा कह रही है इसका लॉन्च हो जाएगा। एंड प्राइस अनाउंसमेंट भी बहुत जल्दी इसकी टोयोटा करने वाली है। तो ये कुछ डिटेल्स हैं इस नई टोयोटा इनोवा हाई क्रॉस को लेकर, जो कि क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले वाइडर, लॉन्गर, व्हील बेस ज़्यादा है, हाइट सेम है, बट स्पेस बेटर यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है। एंड देयर ऑल्सो बेटर सेफ्टी फीचर्स एंड फीचर्स इन दिस न्यू हाई क्रॉस। सो कैसा लगा आपको वीडियो? डू टेल अस इन द कमेंट सेक्शन। वीडियो अच्छा लगा है तो लाइक, शेयर और टाइम्स ड्राइव को फॉलो करना मत भूलिएगा। थैंक यू वॉचिंग, बाय बाय।
हाल ही में हमने ऊबर का एक इवेंट अटेंड किया था जहां पर हमें बातचीत करने का मौका मिला सूरज नायर से, जो कि है सेफ्टी ऑपरेशंस के हेड एट ऊबर इंडिया एज वेल एज साउथ एशिया। हमने पूछे उनसे कई सवाल, आइए देखते हैं इस वीडियो में।
I think I really can't comment on public transportation in general, but what I would definitely want to say is that we as a platform are trying to be as safe for women riders as possible. In fact, very recently we hit the milestone of training more than 100,000 drivers on the platform for gender sensitization. In fact, as the number stands right now, we have trained more than 130,000 drivers on the platform, especially on gender sensitization. So, I mean, we from time to time obviously work on such initiatives which are industry first, which make sure that women experience a safe ride on the platform. I think we definitely want to encourage more and more women drivers on the platform. In fact, in the US, we recently launched a product called Woman Rider Preferred, wherein our women drivers will get the option to be paired only with women riders. And that's something which we believe is going to be very empowering for our women drivers to feel safe on the platform, especially if they're taking, let's say, nighttime trips, etc. So that's something which we are evaluating for our market and which we would definitely want to see if we can launch it here for India. And yeah, we are partnering with multiple organizations to get more and more women drivers on the platform, and something which we constantly endeavor towards. Yeah, gender sensitization is not just about drivers being sensitized towards women riders, but it's also about sensitizing drivers against sensitizing our drivers for all genders. So that is something which we will definitely work towards and get done. It's a very interesting idea and something which we have ourselves discussed and deliberated quite a lot. I think the challenge here would be to have a service which is very reliable, because the last thing that you would want is someone trying to book a pink cab but then not having vehicles available, right? So that's going to be a challenge that we are going to solve. Again, it's not an easy challenge because the number of women drivers is on the platform really low, and in general also commercial women drivers, the numbers are fairly low. So it's going to be challenging for us to do that at this point. But what we are doing is that we are partnering with organizations, NGOs, to increase the participation of women in the commercial driving space. And once we feel that we have critical mass, we can definitely think of launching something like that.
Thank you for watching this video. कोई सवाल अगर आपका इनमें से आपको पूछने का दिल था और हमने जवाब दे दिया तो लिख के बताइए। कोई सवाल जो आपका है और आपको लगता है हम जवाब दे सकते हैं तो उस सवाल को भी कमेंट बॉक्स में लिखिए। बाकी ऐसे और वीडियोस देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब टू गैजेट टाइम्स।
जिस उम्र में उन्हें स्टिक पकड़ना चाहिए उसी उम्र में हमारी दादी माँ किताबें पढ़ती है।
आजीबाईच्या शाळेमध्ये आल्यापासून माझं आयुष्य बदलूनच गेलं आणि मला खूप आनंद वाटायला लागला। मलाच नाही तर सगळ्या आज्यांना आनंद वाटायला लागला।
$110mm एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह। यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की।
Kashmiri Hindus celebrate Kashmir Files' victory, call it a slap on all those